Welcome to the lab. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. I know that it's a late night thing over here, but we'll just skip the after dark and we'll just come to the lab and we can treat it however we want. We have a fantastic guest, as always, Dr. Gary Cotto from the Cold Case Foundation, author of The New Evil, a forensic psychologist, and I don't know, many other things. Many other things. And I know it's been a busy time for you. Everybody's wanting to pick your brain, and
they should leave it alone and let it heal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, your eyes are up here, right? I mean, that's everybody's staring at that cabeza and going, "Oh, what does Dr. Gary think?"
Staring at that cabeza.
No comprende.
Okay. Some people saying they saw me on Brian Enton a little while ago.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I went to News Nation. It was kind of fun, when they take you there. I had been on News Nation quite a lot some years ago, and now I'm sort of, I guess, getting back to it. And it's been an interesting patch of time. In the couple of weeks right before his hearing, his sentencing. After the plea deal until now, it's been basically nonstop appearing on programs. Some of them quite prominent, some of them lesser known, whatever, about Kohberger, what he might be thinking, why he might have taken a plea deal, the way he acted in court, the way to process this sort of onslaught, this massive amount of new information that's coming out. Which really paints the picture more and more of somebody who looks, as we've been saying all along, a lot more like a serial killer in the making. And I'll be doing another show tomorrow, but I don't think it's been announced yet, so I will keep it to myself. It's gonna
some of your reactions, because I haven't talked about since the sentencing happening. I haven't talked about it at all, and I know that you have now, and I am curious what you thought of the whole ordeal. I mean, did it feel like that was a moving on point?
Well, as I've said in a few places, I think that these trials have a way of being a kind of exposure therapy for the families of the victims, because they gradually come to grips with the reality of what happened. They see crime scene photos, they hear details, they sit in the room with other people affected, they cry, they have to accept certain things, and at the end of it, you kind of embrace, okay, this person's gone. There's some whiff of justice, although they'll never really be. But the way this happened for the families was really very terrible, because they thought that there was going to be a trial. They made preparations, and then, and instead of being a trial in the traditional sense for the offender, it turned into a trial basically for the family members, right? A trial in the sense of a travail, a difficult experience that tests them. And it was really kind of heartbreaking. And then, the way they found out in an email that this guy was taking a plea, and then just to add insult to injury, he's just so callous and mechanical and detached, and and the little sort of blinks and stares. And I just kept thinking, as I said, on Chris McDonough's show, The Interview Room, I said that he reminded me a lot of the line from The Raven by Poe, when he says, his eyes had all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming. And that's kind of what he looked like. He looked like he was reliving the crimes, maybe, or enjoying something, staring and studying like an alien consciousness, and just sort of probably imagining as they're sitting there what he did. That must have flooded into his mind. I mean, so you just kind of picture that.
Mm.
And tonight, when I said that on Brian Enton's program, um, Susan Constantine was there, who is a professional at reading body language and so forth. It was her sense that was true. She agreed with me that he sort of seemed to be imagining, fantasizing. In fact, she went so far as to say that she wondered if he might have even been fantasizing about jumping up and killing the judge, or attacking the judge, or hurting somebody in the room, or whatever, because he seemed to be in this fantasy mode in that moment. I thought that he was sort of sputtering, and his eye a little bit when Maddie was mentioned. I noticed he did a little more blinking like that, and but basically he was not he was like a calculating machine, an automaton, a robot. And I was horrified by that.
Yeah.
It was callous, mechanical. I mean, we don't know diagnostically what the heck is going on. I mean, people are wondering about anything from, is he really autistic, to, is he a psychopath? I think we just don't know until he's examined. But my sense is, that he is just dead in the soul. I don't know what the person in the audience is referring to when they say not funny. I hope that we didn't give the impression that we were trying to say that something was funny about this. It absolutely wasn't. It was heartbreaking and disturbing, disgusting in many ways. So whatever somebody thought we were finding amusing, I don't know what that is, but I certainly don't. I don't think you do, Josh. I
No.
don't know what they're talking about. Maybe something in the chat they're talking about. But what did you think? I mean, did you find him kind of disgusting and reptilian?
Yeah, I found him robotic. I don't know if he was putting on, um, and on the inside it was eating him up. I doubt that it was. I'm sure that there were some things that were said. I mean, they really went after him with the loser and you know coward stuff, which was all completely justified, no question about it.
Coming from a woman. I love that it came from a
Yes,
young woman. I mean, that was a way of kind of zinging it. I thought that was fantastic.
he was very he was just very robotic, and I did see a few times where maybe he kind of just sort of nodded a little bit, or nothing too serious, but I don't know.
Well, it's I thought that was horrifying, and I also kept picturing that maybe he was thinking there's going to be some way to appeal, so he kind of didn't want to say anything. But I also think it's a way of maintaining control, because remember that he committed these crimes in the dark with sleeping people. I mean, the idea is, if you see me, I'm a loser, right? So of course he has to stay behind the curtain. As I said on Chris's show, it's sort of like the Wizard of Oz that has to stay behind the curtain, because if he comes out, you're just going to think he's a loser. By staying behind the curtain, he's almost godlike. What is behind that cloak? That kind of thing. What, if he spoke, it would be, we'd all be staring at him like an exotic parrot, that anything that came out of his mouth would be fascinating, that kind of thing. But the truth is, he's just ordinary.
Yeah, he's ordinary. He's odd. He's out of place. Probably not very comfortable in his own skin, obviously, from all the changes that he tried to make along the way. From being fat to I guess physically fit. I mean, it was almost like he was getting in shape for this. It feels like, like he was training. I mean,
Interesting. Yeah. Right.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the road.
My close up kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm getting like he's in training, like spring training for baseball or something. So, something just really creepy about the the months out, leading up to this, and him. I'm sure that he was fantasizing, but I thought that he was everything that they said he was. I thought he was a coward. I thought that he was, just adult sitting there. He looked foolish. He looked funny. And, that's one thing about these sort of plea deals, right? Like when this thing came out, and trust me, I'm not a fan of the way that they rolled this thing out by any means.
No.
Um,
It was
but
really, I felt truly insensitive. And maybe it's just me, but I
no,
thought,
you're 100% right. That's exactly how I felt about it too. However, now that you look at it from the other side, now this is done, you know, maybe maybe this was for the best, the plea deal. Instead of, and I don't know, I'm just speculating, but I saw Mr. Gonsalves. He seemed like the world had been lifted off of his shoulders after the press conference. He seemed just that there was like we did it, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm off on that, but that's just kind of my feeling. Everything that
I mean, I don't know if the weight of the world is ever going to be off his shoulders,
no, but he looked
but I know
different.
what you mean. It was as if, because I really like, um, I know, I've gotten to know,
Sure.
I did a show with Chris where we spoke to Steve and his wife, and we've had a few times that we've interacted, and what I always felt about him, he's a very good man. What I've always felt about him was that he's like a protector, and that it probably was very upsetting that he couldn't be there to protect his daughter at this terrible time. And I think that he sees himself maybe in a kind of a fight for her, to protect her. And I think that when you get up and you look into the face of this person and you tell them off, you feel like you sort of socked them, and it probably feels good, But of course, then you go home and the chair is empty and the person isn't there and there's no real justice, but of course you feel you've done something and it matters, but I think, now that we have more details, I mean, just as a simple example, we have the details from like autopsy of what happened to the kids. And I don't mean simple, I mean a simple example in the sense of just to throw something out there that gives you an example of why there's no real closure on this, because every day you get more detail. It's just more and more horrible, and you still have these people obsessed with Kohberger defending him. I mean, I got like hate mail, every single time I appeared about him, telling me that, um,
Yeah.
I'm jealous of him, and yeah, I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, that guy,
Jealous of Brian Koberger, the guy
right?
that's
I
going
mean, I mean, that guy
to
couldn't get a
prison.
date in a house of ill repute. What is there to be jealous of? I mean, he's not that especially intelligent. He's not especially interesting. He's not, I don't know what that's about. But they would say things like that. One person did, and other people said, he's been framed and you're participating. I mean, are you kidding me? Now, but just to give you an idea, I mean, we've learned things like that, um, that Kaylee, um, was attacked with what's being called a second weapon. I personally think it's, I mean, it's also been said that maybe it was just the butt of the knife, but it left these sort of ring-like marks, around her mouth. Her teeth were knocked out. I mean, so obviously this knife, in this way that I think is arguably perverse, is being, or the handle of it, or some other thing is being like basically jabbed at, rammed into the mouth, and knocking the teeth out. And there's markings around that, or at least jabbing at the face. The face is brutalized, broken features. I mean, horrifying. And then the girl, Maddie, brutalized. The Xana apparently got the worst of it. I think she had over 50 defensive wounds. I mean, because she put up such a fight against him. Ethan, the jugular was basically cut, and we know that the hamstrings are cut. I mean, this is serious, horrific stuff. Horrific. And
Worse,
I
worse than we thought.
well, and then I don't want to get, because I think we're going to probably wind up discussing it in detail um, on the interview room, because what I don't know, but I mean, there are little hints that we're getting from these documents that have been released that make it even more horrifying. Clues that there had been break-ins, prior to the killing. Uh, a shadowy figure that was sort of stalking Kaylee behind the trees when she would walk her dog, that she had spoken to people about. Kohberger having a huge cut after the murders and lying and saying he was in a car accident to explain it. Uh, I mean, just creepy stuff. And stuff that just makes it more and more obvious that this guy was a budding serial killer.
Yeah.
But to me, the greatest of all the revelations, I was delighted because it was the last piece needed for me to say that my hypothesis from before he was even a suspect had held, was for that stupid Elliot Rodger hypothesis to collapse. When it came out that there was no connection between Papa Roger and him, I was like, move the coffee table. I want to do a somersault, because I was sick and tired of people telling me that, the Bundy thing was silly and that it was going to turn out to be Elliot Rodger. I mean, can we lay this to rest now? Once you take Papa Roger off the table, there's no connection between him and Elliot Rodger. It's nonsense. I don't care what anybody says. So what we have is a guy who was reading about and studying Bundy, had Bundy all over the phone, was cosplaying as him, and once we accept that, we understand that he was basically a budding serial killer who was sexually perverse. Pair that with pornography, and it becomes obvious what his motive was. Why did he attack Kaylee like that? Because she interrupted a fantasy. Now, if it's true she was being stalked, and the person who stalked her was Kohberger, then it starts to lean in that direction that some people go. Maybe she was the primary target. I still think it was Maddie. Maybe Chris McDonough is correct that it was the whole house and all the women living in it, Bundy style, that were targeted. We don't know. I still think, especially because they went out of their way to kind of say so, he went in there to target one person. You remember they said, the prosecution said, targeted one person. He went in there for willful murder of one, and then the others were sort of unintended, but then
Yeah.
willful murder. So I still think that was Maddie. But just that detail about the markings around the mouth on Kaylee and the breaking of the teeth and the whole thing and the jabbing you must have, it's just nightmare. The stuff of nightmares.
Yeah.
And you really start picturing Bundy. Ferocious rage toward people simply because they're women.
Here's a question here from Crochet, a true crime. Dr. G, what are your thoughts? What a psychopath might feel, emotions like anger, rage, and frustration, but not joy, happiness, or sadness.
Well, first of all, we don't know if he's a psychopath. Somebody would have to study him. I mean, you can't assess that from an armchair or without at least a lot of records. But I mean, certainly there are things that warrant checking to see if he meets criteria for that. And there are things that are coming out more and more that would certainly warrant that. But if you're dealing with a psychopathic person, remember that a portion of them are those Bundy-like slick groomer kind of clever psychopaths who have empathy but no compassion, who could sort of read your face and take advantage of it. Like, you look sad, let me take care of you, and then hurt you. And that's what he was trying to do, with I'm here to help, that kind of thing. But he's an abject failure at it.
I think she's just.
And,
I think
right.
she's meaning in general.
No, I understand. And then you get the other kind that I know. And then you get the other kind that's more weird, that doesn't really have appropriate empathy or compassion. That's just odd. The ones that give you the creeps, the ones that are the losers, the ones that are the Jeffrey Dahmer types. And I think that's really what you want to picture, is that I don't really know if we can speculate about him feeling anything. I think that he has an almost alien kind of consciousness. When I think of him, I always think of the opening lines of let's see if I have them here. Let me see. He reminds me of this. Let me see if I can find it. Can I read something, Josh?
Please, by all means.
This is the opening paragraph of The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Okay? And for some reason, this is what slips into my consciousness when I look at this guy. So it goes like this. It says, no one would have believed in the last years of the 19th century that the world was being watched keenly and closely by intelligences greater than man's and yet as mortal as his own. That as men busied themselves about their various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a man with a microscope might scrutinize the transient creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. With infinite complacency, men went to and fro over the globe about their little affairs, serene in their assurance of their empire over matter. It is possible that the Insifuria under the microscope do the same. No one gave a thought to the older worlds of space as sources of human danger, or thought of them only to dismiss the idea of life upon them as impossible or improbable. It is curious to recall some of the mental habits of those departed days. At most, terrestrial men fancied there might be other men upon Mars, perhaps inferior to themselves and ready to welcome a missionary enterprise. Yet across the gulf of space, minds that are to our minds, as ours are to those of the beasts that perish, intellects vast and cool and unsympathetic, regarded the earth with envious eyes, and slowly and surely drew their plans against us. And early in the 20th century came the great disillusionment. So the idea is you picture these alien creatures watching you, knowing everything about you as you're going about your business, and you disregard them and think they're nothing. And then one day they decide to attack. See, and that's him. He's an alien consciousness, just like that, like in the War of the Worlds,
Yeah,
watching up here, studying meticulously, like as if they were amoeba, and knowing everything about them, but not even the same species. See?
it's that thing where you see like on an alien movie when an alien's staring at the human and they kind of, have that they tilt their head sort of back and forth and
Yeah.
kind of shift their eyes and kind of the way that they move is his demeanor is not human. It's really not. It's a really odd. I've seen people be mechanical like that before. Nobody that's ever been accused and found guilty and pleaded guilty to a triple homicide. Not that
Well, I mean, I've encountered killers.
Quadruple homicide.
I've
What?
encountered killers that have a kind of schizoid, autistic quality to them. I mean, I don't know. I don't mean autism. I mean that detached mechanical quality. And that type of person, yeah, they're the ones who give you the creeps. In horror movies they try to imitate that. Like if you've seen especially the recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, they try to imitate that kind of schizoid quality, the very detached house,
Yeah.
all the dead plants with the creepy dark windows that look like eyes, the people that don't really blink when they stare at you. It's like going into a Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing is bizarre. He's bizarre. And like I said, the fact that how robotic and detached that he is. I don't know. I mean, could some of that, obviously it's impossible to tell, but I'm just curious what you think is, could some of that be an act?
I think that in order to act, you would have to have the capacity to read the room. And I just don't think he's got it. I think the whole point is if he was adept enough, if he were adept enough to do that, he wouldn't have to kill. He would have seduced somebody by acting. He would have pretended he was normal and gone on a date. The whole problem is that he couldn't, and so as a consequence, he said, "Okay, let me think of all the things I could try to win somebody over," and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Nothing worked. Losing weight, trying to volunteer places, like the police force. getting into a PhD program, being intelligent, the smartest one in the room, whatever. And nothing worked because he was too weird. And I've said that about him since, for years now. See? And,
Well, yes,
and by the way, Susie Q, you can use your imagination. Through process of elimination, it was a Bundy book. If it's not a Bundy book, I will eat my hat, crow, and humble pie in a big giant, plate. It is a Bundy book.
You'd have to eat my hat.
Which book I've deduced that it is, and it's a Bundy book. What?
You'd have to eat my hat. You don't have one.
I would not eat your hat if you skipped it across a gigantic, massive vat of disinfectant.
I mean, that would make it worse, probably.
But yes, it's going to be a Bundy book, and of course it is. And what you're going to see. I've gone and looked through all the Bundy books, and there is one that I seriously, clearly know, because you look at page 118, and it's like a window into his brain. I mean, that was it. It's as soon as you see it, you go, oh yeah, that's the one. No, Will, I will not tell the which book it is. Do you dream much, Will?
Do you eat hats much, Will? I'm looking for somebody to eat my hat.
Would you like me to eat your hat, Clarice?
So we're gonna take some call-ins. We're gonna take call-ins about obviously this topic, Brian Kohberger, and the this case, and we're going to try. We're very terrible at this, Dr. Gary.
Hello, Clarice.
Hello, yeah.
Multiple mix in the next cell.
We're very bad at moving on calls.
So what?
Yeah, that's true. Who cares? All right.
I like our calls.
I do
what do
too.
you want me to do? Our calls, we understand that the really interesting stuff of a person is in the little details, and that we have to we have no choice but to kind of give people. I love that somebody wrote "Goodbye Horses." We have to. You get the reference, right?
Of course, I do.
So we just have to give people time to get into the nitty gritty. I don't like superficial anything.
I agree with myself. I don't hold on, I don't disagree, but let me
give us a call. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let me put the link at the top.
Now I'm verklempt.
I'm verklempt. Oh, smoking the Marlboros. All right.
I'll give you a topic.
Right. Excuse me. All right. So we have okay.
I think you've lost your mind there.
What's that?
I think you've lost your mind.
All right, we got a call. Here we go. And the link is at the top. Let me post this really. Link is should I just do it? We have a couple
I like that people get our references. Somebody said in the audience, like a big stick of butter, because they know what we're talking about, whatever the line was.
Cassie, go ahead. You're on with.
Well, it is not page 118 of the crime classification manual. Sorry. Okay, so
are you arguing with Will?
Can you hear
I'm
me?
not arguing. I know that's not what it is.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Cassie, go ahead. Where are you calling from, Cassie?
Hi there. I'm calling from Arkansas, and I've called before.
Okay, very good.
I called earlier to tell Dr. Brucato how much I appreciated the way that he talks about people with autism, and it's very good. Like, he's very good about mentioning that, that people with autism, for example, are more likely to be victims and perpetrators and stuff like that. And yeah, well, I mean, this is like really off topic, but at least it's kind of positive. I just wanted to call to tell Dr. Brucato, in case he remembered me, that I recently got offered a job and I start on Monday, and it's working with kids with autism. And
Very nice.
I think that's fantastic. Good for you.
I just wanted to let you guys know that I was just
proud of you.
Yeah, me too. And anyway, I don't know what that is.
That sounds kind of like the birth of a seal.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be applause.
Wow. Okay. All right. There you go. Well, anyway, I'll let somebody else say what they wanted to and get back on topic. I just wanted to let you guys know that.
That's beautiful.
Well,
and just out of curiosity, what exactly is the setting where you'll be working with them?
I'm actually going to be a well, it's a pediatrics center that gives not just help to like for therapeutics, but like, I mean, for therapy, but also like occupational, sensory, sensory therapy, also physical therapy, all sorts. It's just, yes, a very big, basically a very big network. And we even have like a farm where they can work with animals and, plants and stuff like that. And it's just really great. I'm very happy about the company and the position. So, yeah.
Well, I think that, there was an interesting article that came out yesterday, or at least read yesterday, that said that they've discovered that there are actually 4 genetic subtypes of autism.
Oh, interesting.
Turn out to be quite different, which is really, really interesting, because right now they're all sort of lumped under into a well, they're placed along the spectrum.
Right.
Who's worked with people who are neurodivergent or on the spectrum knows that there could be such a wide array. Have people that have functional difficulties where they can't work or go to school or something, on the same spectrum as people who are so high functioning that they can, memorize entire books or music on one listening or design extraordinary artworks in this kind of savant-like way.
Right.
I mean, it's wonderful to work with people like that. So I think the most important thing is that you be a person who can tolerate differentness.
Right.
Different.
Yes.
And I am not interested in anything on earth that does not have that quality.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I couldn't.
Absolutely, I do.
Anything that is like in the center of a bell curve, like I'm not interested in.
Right. Yeah.
I want the weirdest thing or the most special thing or the most. And I think, when you're dealing with that population, there's never a dull moment because everyone's always outside of the box, in this marvelous way. And so I really think people are playing 20 questions trying to, they think they're going to be slippery and get me to, intelligent and get me to reveal my idea about which book it is. I'm not answering any more questions about it. So, but I think that it's marvelous. So good for you. Keep up the good work, and check in again in a few months and tell us all about how amazing it is. And every day you'll touch a life, at least one life, and that makes it all worth it, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. I'm very excited.
Good for you.
All right.
And then thanks for thinking of us.
Thank you.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Congratulations again. Bye-bye.
That's so cool.
Very cool. I remember her call now. Okay, let's go. We have Mitch. Well, I don't know if it's Mitch or not, but where are you calling from?
San Jose, California. Can you hear me?
San Jose, home of the Sharks. Not that you care about hockey, neither do I, but shout out Chris McDonough of the interview room. I don't know if you like hockey or not.
Well, I love Chris and I love you guys.
I don't know what the puck you're talking about, but I appreciate it. Now I feel like moving right
along. That's too much.
No idea. You might as well be speaking Cantonese. I don't know what you're talking about, so I'm just gonna go.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't think she's a Sharks fan. Let's just put it that way.
Why are there Sharks in San Jose? Anyway.
And no, the Sharks were disappointing for so many years. We gave up on them.
They're pretty good now.
Laser beams
Yeah.
on their head, then I'm interested.
They
Yeah,
got laser beams on their friggin' heads.
yes.
I don't know. What does this have to do with hockey? All right, so go ahead. Moving along. So what made you call? I assume it wasn't your love of ice sports.
No. I like field hockey, but anyway, no, I called because I've noticed that BK he's demonstrated some self-shame, at least as reported in the media up to now. And I'm just wondering if you think that either of you think that his slight head nodding in court was sort of exhibiting self-shame, or maybe it was self-soothing, something like that.
I think closer to the latter than the former. I mean, I think this desire, this is the most fascinating thing about this to me, is this tendency that human beings have to need to project human meaning into things. It's sort of like when the dog, does something and we go, look, he's lonely. Like, but because it's mimicking the human behavior, but like it probably is like coming near you because it smells food or something. Oh,
Right.
Look at it. It wants to play a game. It doesn't understand anything you're saying. That kind of thing. We project that, and and I love animals, so I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think sometimes we think they're feeling things and thinking things because we project it. Well, we do that with certain types of people too. I think that projecting significance into his head nodding, like as if it means some human thing, is sort of reading into it too much. My guess is he's dead in the soul. You might as well be talking to him about the book that he spilled sauce on. Oh, what a shame. Like he doesn't there's no you're don't try to imagine him having these deep human feelings, like he's going to go to his cell and tear up thinking about the killings. He's going to no. I think that is a problem where, and this is exactly why people have trouble understanding these kind of motives, is you have to picture a person who couldn't care less if you're screaming on the top of your lungs. Screaming. This person would look at you and go, I need you to stop, so I'm going to beat your face.
Oh.
There is no humanity in there. Forget that. And I think it is amazing how we want to think there is, but there isn't. And so what you have to picture is like an automaton, a mannequin, dead, wooden. And it takes a lot for me to say that. I can see humanity in a lot of people, but in that person, I got to tell you, at this point, it's hard. The more details that come out, it is hard.
That reminds me.
Don't you feel that way, Josh? There's nothing in there.
I think the reason that he was nodding his head was to balance that big old dome on his frail little body. Now he's got a huge head, and so I don't know. I mean, I think
why'd you have to say that?
He looks like a pop. He looks like a lollipop.
I mean, there are some people that you could lose weight running around their cranium, but I'm not saying that about him.
I'm just saying that he looked like a balloon and on a string. And I don't know what he was thinking. It's just hard to say. I know there's a lot of people that maybe he was sort of just kind of rocking, a little, look, he's got to sit there and just take whatever they say. Thank God, which is just the best. And so I don't know. He's just, like I said, he got a big old.
But there are people in love with the guy.
It's just gross. Yeah.
I told you, I get hate mail. It's unbelievable.
Sorry, I won't send any more emails late at night like that.
One day, I have this fantasy that one day I'm going to put on some like Debussy or Ravel or something, like really soft piano music, and just read the crazy letters that I've gotten from people or emails that I've gotten from people about Kohberger, because they're so crazy and weirdly like in love with him.
Please do.
No, I cannot bring myself to do it, but they're deranged. I mean, unbelievable. But like, can you imagine like some soft, like Time Life's, love songs, something in the background, just like because they are really, they're unbelievable. They're unbelievable. and they blow my mind. I mean, unbelievable. So, Josh, you don't look horrified. I'm weirded out that you're not horrified. But there are people very in love with him. And Mangione.
Horrified. I mean, this is a tale as old as time.
Mangione's got a lot.
Long as old as rhyme.
Morphew's got them too.
They all have them, dude. If there are people that were in love with the Night Stalker, there's hope for anybody to have.
You almost wonder if part of the reason for the admiration of Bundy is maybe if I kill someone, I'll be, someone will be attracted to me. I mean, it's just sort of weird to think of it that way, but this guy was trying to figure out how to be. Oh God, we're getting the Luigi admirers now.
Well, he's not a horrible looking human, but he is now. I mean, when you see him, you look at him and you go, oh God, but he sucks too. Kelsey says wolf.
Wolf like the way a dog would make that sound, drooling positively. Or wolf like, oh God, like gross, like barf. Like what kind of like wolf, like we're dealing with a dog. What kind of wolf is that?
I would assume.
You know what I mean? Wolf can mean both things, right? I mean, if you saw some people in the street and you went, wolf, I wouldn't know if that meant like you were grossed out or you were like, I'm drooling with excitement. I don't know what that means.
No, I don't either.
She also keeps changing her photos. I'm getting like confused. Like I feel like we're talking to Sybil. Like who is this person who keeps changing that?
Barf.
Like Buzz, your girlfriend, Wolf.
You don't remember that?
Yeah, I got it.
No, okay. I knew you would.
All right.
You have a big head too. And you keep a lot of information up there.
Okay. Thank you, Josh.
Just kidding.
Literally big head or a big head like
somebody's going to write me after this show and they go, how dare you talk to Dr. Gary that way?
You mean psychologically or like literally like
psychologically you have, yes.
I thought you meant like you were implying that I had like a bloated like macrocephalic like elephant man head or something.
No.
I mean, it really wouldn't bother me so much.
Macrocephalic. No, it's not macrocephalic.
Macrocephalic.
I'm telling you that somebody's going in the chat or in the comments after the show. Somebody told me that when I have you on that I shouldn't talk at all.
Who told you that?
I don't know. Somebody in the chat. It was funny.
I'm kidding. So much of what I say is completely useless. I've gotten to the point where I get asked to do so many of these shows that at this point I'm just amusing myself because like I can't take it anymore. Like I've talked about this stuff so many times. I'm just like I still just let it rip because it's like I can't take it anymore. I'm so sick of thank you, Babs. I'm so sick of talking about Kohberger.
All right, your mic is muted, so stop talking. It's my turn. I'm just kidding. Dude, I just love it. It was so funny because she said something like, you're unmuted now. She said something like, when you have a guest like Dr. Gary on, I said, he's on all the time. So I don't know what you want me to do. Anyway, Mitch, thank you for your call. San Jose, go Sharks. All right, next, Audrey, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Florida.
Yeah, right. Florida.
Thank you for accepting my call and having me.
Absolutely.
Florida is an interesting place for people interested in true crime.
Yeah, Florida's kind of scary when you're on a true crime show and they have cases and so many of them are from Florida. It's kind of scary.
But they're always special. They're never just ordinary crimes. It'll be like
there's too many. There's way too many of them.
There's always something very unusual about them. Couple robs bank with alligator and mannequin. Like holds up deli. Using a sandwich. It's always bizarre. They're there's like drugs involved and crazy. They're just very special cases. In fact, isn't there an expression, Florida man?
Is there what?
Isn't that an expression like Florida man to mean like that?
On a podcast that I had, we had a whole segment called Florida Man, and we would just read the craziest things from Dade County. Mostly is where most of the stories came out of. But yes, there's a whole Florida man. And as soon as you say Florida man, you just go, well, anything's possible.
Yeah. There's too many school shootings too.
Yeah, it's horrendous, but Anyway, I'm
But
sorry.
anyway, the
Yeah,
reason why I'm calling is I found it very interesting that Dr. Gary said that when he thought of Kohberger, he thought of an alien. And just tonight, not long ago, Brian Enton put out an interview with Kaylee's sister, Olivia.
right.
Tonight, after yesterday, he interviewed her tonight, and she was trying to describe him, and she said, she was trying so hard. She says, the only thing that comes to my mind when I was looking at him was alien.
Well, right. There you are.
So that was crazy that you said that, and she had just said that tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it tells you something.
Yeah. So
I think-
anyway, I
Hey.
have one question, and then I'll let you get to your next guest. So I don't know which podcast I was on, but there was a doctor on speaking, and they were asking, kind of like, what comes first, the egg or the chicken? And the doctor said basically, and I don't know if this is factual or not, but he said that killers are born this way. How do you feel about that?
It's complicated. There's in the literature on psychopaths, and I'm not saying that Coberger necessarily is, because I'm waiting for someone to assess him. There are secondary and primary and secondary psychopaths, right? So a primary psychopath is a person who just has that kind of brain, and if they're treated well by the world, they might channel it in a pro-social way. If they're treated badly by the world, they might put it in an anti-social way. But a secondary psychopath is a person who doesn't have that kind of brain, but they've been so badly treated that they act like a psychopath. They get hardened. Like a lot of people who join gangs are like that. And so I think it's correct to say some people are born that way and some people are not. The problem I have with the born that way perspective is that it completely eliminates moral responsibility because it's just biological. If you're born that way, why are we, considering you evil? You're just born that way, right? So I think that's. I'm not going to criticize the statements of any other person. I'm just saying that I think it's a lot.
Who said it?
It's a lot more complicated than that. But
tell me their name. I'll do it.
So yeah, so it's both. They can be, and then circumstances can also create it. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think so. I mean, I think that if it were as simplistic as you're born that way,
right?
There's a lot more to it and we know there are some people who are secondary psychopaths that, under the right circumstances, can even show signs of improvement. They can have a person that cares about them, and it brings out a better part of them. The classic person who's like a juvenile delinquent and then finds love and gets their act together, discovers religion, becomes pro-social. You see people like that. That's why, that sometimes they were attracted to gangs and things like that, is because they were looking for belonging or stability, right? So it's a really interesting question, but it's the classic question. With Kohberger, I think there's something wrong with I get the sense that there's something wrong with the actual stuff of him. Like he's like the Tin Man born without the heart kind of thing. There's something about him that's just wrong.
Misfired in the brain.
I don't know, but there's something just off about him. And then on top of that, he just wasn't, I'm sure he felt he wasn't treated very well by people. And then he's using this thing to try to make a science out of the world, and he stinks at it. So, what's left except force, at his point.
This is
somebody read in the records that were released from the police department that when they interviewed him in Pennsylvania before he said that he wanted a lawyer, that he was very concerned about his mom and his dog. Mm-hmm. So for somebody who hates women, apparently, is it weird? Because mostly I've heard, like men that go after women and hate women have had like a bad relationship with their mother or no mother or abandoned by a mother. And now apparently he's had many phone calls with her while he was in prison. And was worried about her. So do you find that weird that he has feelings for his mother but hates other women?
No, in fact, it's a common formula. What sometimes is called the Madonna whore complex. Sometimes the idea is that you have some women that you have on a pedestal, and other women are in your mind trash. So you picture him, with the birthing hips comment, right? Or the interest in Margaret Atwood, who wrote The Handmaid's Tale. We know that he had those kind of ideas about women. And then at the same time, he had respect for his professor, apparently. He, seems to have had respect for his mother. And, he didn't seem to do anything disrespectful to Ann Taylor, like that. So he seems to have some women that he sees one way and other women that he views as sex objects. And from his pornography, I mean, he can view them as totally objectified. So I think that he sees women as sort of divided like that. And, it's not unusual in people that are kind of developmentally odd to have a situation where when you're home, you're basically told, like, you could do anything, you're great. And then you go out in the world and you discover you're like an utter and complete failure. But you come from people who think you're, it's sort of like the Addams Family situation, right? Like when Wednesday and Pugsley are at home, their family adores them and thinks they're perfectly normal. But when they go out into the world, it's like, bizarre because they can't open their mouths without being weird. Well, it's like that. I mean, it's all about who surrounds you and do they tell you that you're okay the way you are. I mean, I think we're going to find out that people thought there was some strange things about him. But I have a feeling that he didn't realize how weird he was until he went out into the world. I really think so, because he seems to really start the efforts at doing things to get liked around in teenage years. Also, from the stuff that was revealed after the kid, sounds like he was really thinking like he was going to get himself a girlfriend. He wanted a girlfriend, and he was starting to be more and more inappropriate with women that he was like, I think TAing or whatever. And, he desperately wanted female company. That is not characteristic of a person who hates women. Characteristic of a person who's lonely and resents that he thinks they don't want him. Big difference. He doesn't hate
Yeah.
it's more like the person who says, I hate you, because you think the person doesn't like you. But then
Right.
you walk away and you're like, how long until they call me? That kind of thing. You just say you don't really
But then
hate.
he had an opportunity. I don't know where I read it or heard it or a podcast that I think she was an Asian girl who liked him.
Yeah, the Korean exchange student, of course. Yes.
Yeah, and so he rejected her. So I don't get it. So
Robbed
that one makes what's that?
And robbed her.
He robbed her.
She's obtainable. She was obtainable for him. He doesn't care about that.
And not white. I think I have a feeling he was totally racist. But he well, because it goes with the misogyny, that type.
Yeah, he just hates everybody.
They all wear the same hat, that type. Well, my sense is that I think that my understanding is that some of her prized possessions went missing, and she thought he took them, and then she wanted help with like cameras in the home to have an idea what was going on, and she started to think that he installed them to help her, but then like was probably watching her through them. So it was like this technique of like, you'd be more interesting to me as an object of study than as an object of actual sexual connection. And I think that's because at the end of the day, he was completely inadequate. I really do. I think he was just a totally inadequate guy. And that's why I think you get those sexual undertones to the injuries and the weaponry and the going in when people are in bed at night and the pornography. I said way back when I did the profile on him on Chris McDonough's show that there was an undertone of sex to this guy, of sexual frustration, of that kind of, but that he would probably just not be overtly sexual, because I think he's just completely inadequate loser, and that's what it comes down to. So that's not an incel. This is somebody that people come to him and are interested, and then he sort of like avoids it because he thinks he doesn't know what he's doing. An incel is like nobody even wants you. You don't even have the option. You don't even get invited to the party to say no. See the difference?
Right.
Incel doesn't even get the invitation. This guy gets the invitation and goes, "Oh, I can't make it to the party. I got to go to Canada." You know, that kind of thing. You just like make an excuse, you know. But yeah, so I think that's how you want to see him. And no, Dana, page 118 is not The Handmaid's Tale. It was specifically indicated that it was a criminal psychology book. But I enjoyed the guesses. So,
So I think Brian interviewed somebody or said that he appeared to be enjoying listening to the girls. But when the men got up and spoke, that they sensed a fear in him,
I don't know.
that he was fearful of the guys.
I think we're reading too much into the little eyebrow raises, quivers of a dead soul. I mean, I think that the key takeaway of that is that he felt nothing. I think it's possible that they were taking digs at him and things like that, and that it was burning a little bit. But I think the whole point is like he would just rationalize to himself that that was coming from a person that he thought was worthless. I mean, that's really what you gotta imagine, you know? So he would just dismiss it. You know how it is. It's like a person makes fun of you and you just go, but they're an idiot.
Yeah.
I think that's what he would do. He would probably just, because he doesn't care about anything or anybody. You know, it's just empty, dead. I think it burned. I think it burned a little bit. But then he would go through a kind of rationalization or recall the killings or something that would restore a sense of power. What I was more interested in was his family there. Because I want there to be a rupture where the family sees him for what he is and doesn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah.
I want him to lose that. I really do.
All right. I'm going to let you guys go and get another phone call. Thank you so much for your time and answering my questions. I greatly appreciate it. Now, if I can figure out how to hang up, or will you disconnect me? Because I don't see a button.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I can do it for you. Not a problem.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. Take care, guys.
Well, you're going to hear a slide whistle and the floor is going to open up and you're going to shoot. There's going to be like a glide path and it's just going to blast you through the wall like the Kool-Aid person, you know? So you ready, Josh? Here we go. Slide whistle.
Caller, Nikki.
The Kool-Aid guy is really scary.
Hi.
I'm sorry.
How are you?
Whoever this is has got some awesome energy.
Where you calling from, Nikki?
Oh, I'm in Maryland.
Hello.
Near DC.
Golden crab cakes.
Right in the middle between Baltimore and DC. So I got best of both worlds. No,
I like
right?
that. You sound like those people that are on stage in the Miss America pageant. And they say, where are you from? And they say, I'm from sunny Atlanta.
I'm excited. Hi, Josh. Hi, Dr. Gary.
My platform is to save the animals.
Well, I was actually sitting here reading your book. I'm on page 475, so I'm almost done.
Yeah, you only have 700 pages to go.
No, it's not that bad. I read these books constantly. Dr. Gary's book. The only thing is the print is really, really small. That's the only thing that gets me because my eyes are going on me. So the only thing that gets me is the print. But there's a lot of info. There's a lot of info.
So what is on that page? What are you?
475. Let's see. There are some men, it will usually be males, belonging to the category of murder with extreme sadism. Oh, you remember that one?
You're in Michael Stone's section.
Yeah, towards the end there.
Yeah.
And then I got a notification for the show, and I was like, holy crap, I got to watch this. He's on it, and I'm reading this book.
Well,
But
I
would
like
you,
your energy. I
but
think it's
would
great.
you
You
have
remind me
walked?
of those people that are like, "Sing out, Louise," and you got to.
Oh, well, you're talking
Yeah.
to a night owl here that stays up reading true crime books. So, what do you want from me?
I happen to love owls, by the way. I like them quite a lot.
You like the sound they make? The big loud scare your ass.
I think they're adorable.
Have you ever seen My Cousin Vinny, where he's out shooting when the owl is shooting?
I know. I think they're great. Did you ever see? If you didn't, you're going to thank me. Did you ever go on YouTube and watch the old Warner Brothers cartoon of the owl that sings, and he's called Owl Jolson, and he sings, I want to singer. This is my favorite.
Yes. I want to singer. Oh, yes. I know it.
I can't handle it. I must have seen that 200 times.
I think they're beautiful, but loud. I go to true crime when I hear owl. The stairwell.
Yeah.
True crime, Peterson, where they say it was the owl feather in her hair, and that one, because I'm a true crime junkie. That's where I go to when I hear
You
owl.
like the weirdest stuff, Dr. Gary. Like, I like owls. I like plants.
I like owls. I
like pictures of angels with no belly.
Snow owls are pretty. Snow owls are very pretty, very big.
animals.
Their eyes are like huge, very, very big eyes on owls.
Yeah, and they can spin their heads around,
like almost all the way around.
So people a long time ago used to think that they were evil because their heads can spin. So they would try to walk around over and over again until the owl, to try to get the head to come off.
Right. Back in the olden days, they probably said, "Oh my God, that's a gargoyle or something." Yeah.
Well, gargoyle is a whole different creature. The gargoyle comes from the French word that means to gargle.
Gargoyles are actually protectors.
Devices for getting water out of the, off the wall of a building. So they gargled the water, right? That's why they're called.
Right.
So tell me, what's your question? Yes. Does it have to do with foul?
I wanted to make a comment and tell you that I was looking through the pictures on here, and I really appreciate the picture of Gordon Northcott, because I don't usually see him in a lot of books. And I was wondering if you know the story behind, well, of course you probably do, of Gordon Northcott with the little boy that was actually kidnapped, they think by him.
Yeah, I know.
And the mother that was looking for her son, and then she ended up with an imposter, and then they put her in the psycho ward because the sheriff was like, "No, I don't like you saying that's not your son. Take him home anyway." You know the story, right?
Of course. Gordon Northcott was very interesting because
did they ever prove that? I think, what was the kid's name? Jamie or something like that?
I don't know if that was ever conclusively said. I mean, the thing with him was, first of all, he's interesting because he's a pre-1960s serial killer, but there was a sexual component.
Yeah, there was
a
sexual component.
Very unusual.
And a mother that was helping him at the same time. She was helping him hide the crimes by, getting rid of some of the bones that were being dug up and everything.
Yeah, and putting things in quicklime. I don't know what that is. I'm not really sure I understand this comment, but thank you very much.
I just wanted to know if you knew that, if it was ever proven that he actually killed that little boy that was kidnapped.
No, I don't know if that was ever proved, but I think it's been hypothesized. There are a number of, I think, have been sort of theoretically attributed to him, but he's an extremely interesting pre-1960s offender. Actually, the serial killer that I always say my favorite case is the Zodiac case, but
that's mine too.
Or an individual offender who has been identified,
right?
That I find the most interesting. It's Albert Fish, and one day I'll probably do an individual book on him. But Northcott sort of
poor Grace Budd
camp. Yeah, well, I visited the Grace Budd home, which is now a garage.
Right.
Of course, I weirded everybody out in there, and I said, "Can I take a picture?" And they were like, "Sir, this is a garage." And I was like, "It's not just a garage. It used to be the Budd home."
That's a shocker, isn't it? You weirded people out.
do you think I
Yeah,
care?
they actually didn't want to believe that he actually cannibalized her, like during the court case and everything. They didn't want to believe it. They were just trying to say, "Oh no, he probably didn't. He didn't do that." And they were trying to convince, because back then they couldn't, conceive that that was even possible or real, even though they found her bones and brought her bones into the
Well,
courtroom and
I'll
everything.
tell you an interesting story about that. Um, I walked from the Bud home, which again is now a garage, to the place where the train station was, where he got on, where he would have boarded to go
Right,
to Syria, with her,
right. Or he
kill her.
picked her up and rode and had
Right.
his tools on the.
And there's a little kiosk there, which would have been like a magazine stand, it still is basically. And
Mhm.
it's interesting because, the things I know, I mean, I can't go up to people and tell them these stories, but that's right, Josh. I need it on a t-shirt, or maybe it'd be my autobiography title. So what happened with Fish, it's extremely interesting. Before Fish pretending to be a farmer, that was taking Bud to a party.
Right, Howard. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Right, Howard. He left this package at that
Yeah.
magazine
When he
stand.
bought the cheese and the strawberries, he left his tools
Right. All his implements of murder,
of
right?
evil.
Of hell.
Mhm.
So he goes, gets the girl and the child, and he then walks past that magazine place, which is still there, and
Mhm.
gets the package with the murder weapons in it, and she thinks it's just like a nice little package. They get on the train, they go up to the cabin, and he intentionally
He
leaves.
left them
He intentionally leaves the package on the seat of the train
on
so that the
exactly
little girl will run and get it and go,
and get
Mister,
it for
got
him.
your right,
You
exactly. 'Cause
forgot
he
your
liked the
package.
idea. Yes, he liked the idea that she was basically like, in a way, like
Like
choosing
it
her
was
own.
like almost giving him permission.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
was twisted, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then he, everything he did to her was so horrendous. I mean,
Oh yeah, he was
the
a
details
twisted
are,
guy. He tried to say that there was no sexual component to it, but then when they were
um,
questioning him, they were like, "Well, then why did you take off your clothes?"
no, no, no. I have a full book of all of his written letters and confessions, and his thing was targeting intellectually disabled
Oh
children,
yeah,
and
he preyed on them.
yes, and he had a thing for force. I mean, I don't want to get too graphic here, but his
Right. He,
big
he
thing
had a
was
thing for
forcing.
castration, basically.
Well, he had a thing for forcing them to eat large amounts of feces. And
Yeah,
so
cockophilia.
yes, and he
Yeah.
was a very, very disturbing guy. And I remember when I was going to write a book about him, I did the chapter in the New Evil, but I was going to do a full book on him.
Oh, you
And
should. You should.
I opened up the files on him. I'll never forget it. And it right there, as soon as I opened it, was this story he was writing to someone, and he said that one of his pastimes was to get a very long rose that had a thorny stem and
Yeah, I know.
insert it into the
Yeah,
urethra and then pull it
yeah,
out very quickly and
yeah.
rip. And I said, I'm done. I'm not writing a book about him.
I've
And
had it. I'm done. I've heard enough.
disturbing. Yes, he was very, 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 very
Yeah,
sick.
he was.
But he is
He
a
was.
pre-1960s offender where psychosis is at play. He was both a psychopath
Yeah, it was a
and
component. He had
yes,
that religious thing to it too, right?
yes, he had a kind of religious delusion that it's very interesting. I discovered that the orphanage where he was abused as a child was called St. John the Evangelist, and that is who he
It was
thought
in
was talking to.
DC, right down the street from me.
Yeah, that's who he thought he was talking to, St. John the Evangelist. So I think that what you want to understand about him is like he internalized a lot of stuff from his childhood and turned it
Yeah,
into
because they abused him and they used to hit
yeah,
the kids in the orphanages and really badly. And then he said that he discovered that he just liked pain. He like he reversed it from pain being hurtful to him liking pain and him,
yeah.
basically being a sadist
He
and on
wanted to
other
be
people.
executed. He wanted it. He
Oh
thought that
yeah, he wanted to
electrocution.
experience the last, that was my last thing I've never done and all of that,
I remember I
you know.
once went to apply for a job at Sing Sing. I was invited to apply for a job at Sing Sing, the prison, when I was a young doctor.
Yeah,
And
that's where he was
and
executed.
he was executed there. And I remember somebody saying to me, "Does it make you uncomfortable that this is where the electric chair was that killed all these horrendous people?" And I remember I said, "Old Sparky," because that's what they used
Old
to call it.
Sparky.
Old Sparky was here, like as if
Yeah,
I
they
was
had
talking
that.
about like a beloved cat or something.
Right.
That's where it was. It's amazing.
They had that
But
old, tale, basically, that thing where a story going around that, oh, the needles, short circuited the thing that never
well,
even
it
happened
did
because
catch flame. I mean, some people wonder if that's apocryphal, but he did have an enormous amount of
he did. He did. I saw the
metal in the
X-rays.
body.
He
Yes.
did, but they didn't short circuit the electric chair when he was
No, no, no.
executed. That's
I
just a
think that might be
story.
that's probably a myth. Well, anyway, it's been a
It
pleasure, and
Yeah.
go fish, and I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
All
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Josh.
Thank you, Nikki.
Bye.
Old
All
Spark.
right, Brandy, thank you for waiting so long.
I did. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Oh,
all
I
right.
remember your voice. You've called before, right?
Me? No.
Oh, then you have a doppelganger somewhere.
Ooh, that's ugly.
I don't think it's ugly. I like your voice. I think your voice is cool.
Okay, how was that guy executed, though? I would love to know.
Oh.
Fisher.
Who was executed? Albert Fish. He was electrocuted in the
Was he?
chair at Sing Sing.
Oh, wow. I've never heard that one, and I don't hope I hear it ever again. Sorry, my husband just walked in
Oh
from
no,
work.
you ain't heard nothing yet. But I just want to say to whoever the person in the chat is referring to, that I agree. I'm sorry if there was some people talking all at the same time. Forgive me. I'm sure that was my fault. So anyway, please go ahead.
I was patient, yes. Sorry. I agree with you. We're gonna go back like 3 stories, apparently.
Okay, fine with me.
She said that his brain was touched or whatnot.
Who said? Whose brain?
Oh man. The female that was speaking. Not this one, but the one before. Sorry.
Chuck, you know whose brain was touched?
Talking about the current. We were talking about the 4.
Kohberger? Oh yeah. What about his brain?
She was like, he was born that way.
Oh, I don't know. We don't know much. We don't know.
I know. I don't agree with that at all, and I agree with you.
No.
We're not born that way. We're kind of we're a product of our environment, right?
The mixture.
Slightly.
I mean, there's got to be, like a bend in the road.
Yeah.
With some
Where
people
you turn off and you're
biologically,
like, you're right.
But then
There's a corner or a turn or a very wide U. Sorry. My brother is a murderer.
oh,
Yeah. And
is a murderer. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Still alive. He's still alive and in
Yeah,
prison.
he's doing his time. But this wasn't.
This is all you.
It was
Joe.
more of a payoff crime. Like it was him or them type thing. It wasn't. He has an urge. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So sorry. Now she went sideways with that story about the Fisher, and that really threw me about eating the poo and all that. And I'm just like,
It is
whoa.
what it is. I mean, it's one of the most infamous cases in history of
Right.
crime.
So how many children did he offend?
He claimed at least one in every state.
Oh wow.
Yes, he was
all females or what?
Mixture. He was psychotic.
Really?
Be disorganized, completely
He
disorganized.
wasn't. He wasn't organized.
No, it was as disorganized as it comes.
Really?
But
what state? What state killed him?
He was killed in the state of New York. He was assessed by Frederick Wortham, the famous psychiatrist who wrote the Seduction of Innocence. And for those who are comic book fans, will remember that Frederick Wortham led the ban on violent comic books, which included Tales from the Crypt and Haunt of Fear, Voltivar, etc. led to the Comics Code Authority, and I think he was very disturbed by Albert Fish and his.
And you spoke to him or you wrote?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you speak to him or write?
Albert Fish? Albert Fish
Yes.
died many
Oh, I
decades.
don't know.
I mean, I know I look old, but he was dead
I'm
a
not trying to say any of that.
long time ago. Yeah,
I'm not trying to say any of that. Okay.
long dead.
I know I look
So
old.
he what?
He said he knows he looks old. No, you don't.
Teasing.
yeah,
Actually, I bathed in
stop it.
formaldehyde.
Stop it. Stop
Formaldehyde.
yourself. Right.
Methuselah.
Okay. So can I go to Gypsy Rose?
Oh yes, fascinating case.
Oh, what do you think?
Well, let me hear what you think is
A
interesting. about it.
person. What did they call it when you kill your family, your mother or your father? Or
Thinking of like,
person. Was it?
no. Are you talking about like Munchausen's?
Haha. You
Because
got
that's what
jokes,
was going
right?
on there.
You got
It
jokes,
was
right?
a Munchausen's case.
That's not a Munchausen case. Is it called
Gypsy
persicide?
Rose? The Gypsy Rose case? No,
Yeah.
no. You're talking about after she had the boyfriend kill the mother. That's a parasite.
Well, you know, I mean, by proxy, right?
Right, but the Munchausen's part is what the mother was doing to the daughter.
She's not diagnosed, though.
What the mother was doing to the daughter.
She was not diagnosed, though.
Can't diagnose her.
You cannot diagnose after they're passed. You know this. I know this.
I'm saying
So
that's what
you're
people
going off the
say.
official.
Right, exactly. I'm not saying
That
I'm
is not
saying it.
official,
I'm saying
though.
that's what people say. Right.
That's not, and people are saying it's totally wrong. That's why I'm so mad.
Well, that's interesting. Tell me, do you think it's wrong?
Yeah, that they're saying that it was by proxy. Yes. Munchausen by proxy. Yes.
Interesting.
Totally. She was not diagnosed. The mother was never diagnosed with by proxy. Munchausen by proxy. Never.
So what do you think was going on with her?
Which one?
The mother.
I believe she took her child to save her from Louisiana. My mother grew up there. She
Oh,
called it
fascinating.
Louisiana. And they had an awful life there.
Oh,
And I believe her mother tried to stop whatever her evil little child was doing, which she may have started, right?
So in other words,
But-
you don't like the
But
narrative.
Gypsy
Yeah, go ahead.
should have left. You know what I'm saying?
So you're
It's very
saying,
interesting. It's not interesting. That woman could have walked away. Now she's walking around our world.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding you. So you're saying that you don't like a narrative in which the mother is seen as the villain.
I don't like where it was put as she was the villain.
I understand. I think that's interesting. I mean, it's one of those cases where I'd have to sit down and sort of lay it all out and understand.
I really believe you need to, because this is a female that is walking around our planet.
That's interesting. I'll look into it. I mean, as far as I know,
She has given birth to a child.
Right.
A murderer has given birth to a child. She has gone through a divorce, gotten back with somebody. Both of those men both sought her out in prison. They already have issues, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And one has been clearly identified as having his cock sucked in front of a child, and told her that, which has just recently come out.
Well, let me stop you for a second. First of all, I'm not really sure where we're going with this, but let's try to keep that down a little bit. I mean, I get it. I get that you're upset about it, and there's nothing that Dr. Gary can do about it, though.
I know.
No. Let me just say something very quickly.
I just want to know how you feel about that when somebody is released and then
right. I think what you're trying to say is that you have a different opinion than the traditional narrative that is accepted about that story.
I don't believe I'm alone.
You're encouraging people to think about it a different way, and I think you're entitled to that. I think it's interesting. I mean,
we're all entitled to our opinions.
Everyone's entitled to that. Absolutely. I don't believe in telling somebody that.
I just realized that it's not okay. Within a year and a half of her being, like the Menendez brothers, they're getting their case reseen, right? Shouldn't Nick?
I don't know enough of the details beyond the
I beg you to look into it.
to answer anything like that.
I beg you to look into it.
Okay.
I mean, he is clearly autistic. He was, for 2 years, talked into this. She talked him into it.
He, the boyfriend?
What does that have to?
I don't understand.
I don't either. I'm having I'm having trouble following it. Is the problem?
I think she's talking about the he. The only he I know to be in the story is the boyfriend of the daughter, but I really would like.
First of all, sorry, Doctor. I don't mean to cut you off. Chat. I need you to calm down. I'm running the show. I can handle it. I've been doing this a long time. It's fine. If you don't like when somebody calls, if you don't like their question or whatever,
No, I think they're just passionate. That's all.
no, they're just they're saying move on, drop it. You know, I can do it.
No, I mean the caller is just passionate. That's all.
I understand. I'm not.
I don't know the case enough to I mean, I know a lot about it, but I don't know anything beyond the traditional narrative to comment on what the person is saying. That's all. But that's all. I think it's very interesting. Is the caller still there? I hope we're not. Okay. All right.
All right.
Well, if we got disconnected, I apologize about that.
Crime kangaroo. Go ahead. Good luck following that.
Yes, Josh, but she is insulting, dude.
Whatever.
Okay.
I don't feel insulted. Do you feel insulted, Dr. Gary?
No.
Okay.
I had to think about it a moment, but no.
That's good. Hey, True Crime Kangaroo. Go ahead. You're on.
Morton Downey Jr. himself couldn't do such a great live show.
That's what I thought. Beautiful Messy Ball. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
You're fine.
Can you don't yell at us?
I'm yelling?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying I don't want to be yelled at anymore.
No, I'm not going to yell. But this isn't what I called for, but going back to the Gypsy Rose conversation briefly. I was in the chat and I was disagreeing with the caller, but I don't think I was being disrespectful and I wasn't telling you to move on. I actually think it's a good conversation to have.
It's interesting. I thought it was interesting. I just don't
thought it was interesting too, and I think that we can disagree with the previous caller and have that conversation. And it sounded like she was the one that hung up, Josh.
Absolutely not.
Oh no, you hung up on her?
Maybe.
Oh, that's too bad. But because I think that the only thing I want to move on from it, but I think it's possible to acknowledge that Gypsy didn't have to do what she did, possibly, and that it's possible to be a victim and a perpetrator at the same time.
Yes, we have a category for it in the New Evil. It's a type. Yes. And, if you read, you'll see that there are people who are in desperate circumstances that can do that. And there is a very specific placement for them. So take a look at that. And I think you'll find that interesting. Like I said, I know the traditional narrative of that case. And my understanding is that in the traditional narrative, that is discussed as a classic Munchausen's kind of situation, which led to somebody feeling basically abused for a very long time. But I think there are other sides of the story. So that's interesting. But I'm not here to adjudicate it again, or so we need a lot of detail. But thank you. So what is it that you
what I actually called for is a little bit disconnected from everything else we've been talking about.
Thank God.
I'm just curious if you have studied MK Ultra at all and your thoughts on that.
Not only superficially have any idea about that, so why don't you tell us? I always like to learn something.
Well, what we know to be true is that it was in effect, and I might have the years slightly off, like by a year or two, from the 40s, I think 43 to around 77, and that it was in fact a government program. There are Senate documents that prove that it existed, where drugs, namely at the time LSD, were being used basically to honeypot a lot of high powerful people through prostitution, and it was experimental to get secrets, and it was basically like a spy operation, a drug and spy operation. Somebody just said, yeah, it was a failed government program. I'm not sure how failed it was. We are led to believe that it ended in the 70s. I'm not so sure that it ever really ended. And that's why I was curious if you have studied or looked into it at all.
Have you, Josh?
Just from like the Whitey Bulger aspect of it.
Right. Whitey Bulger was said to be a known subject of.
Yeah, I think he got time knocked off his sentence for it.
Right. Of MK Ultra. It's been said that, of course, now that I call in, I'm going to draw blanks on all the stuff I actually know very much about. And just because I get anxiety, memory issues. It's a slight learning disability, and I apologize. But the Mansons were allegedly part of it. There's been talk that Bundy was a part. So they, aside from it being used as government spy stuff, it's been said that it was used in prisons and psychiatric facilities as well to experiment on prisoners. And like Josh said, Whitey Bulger got time knocked off of his sentence. And something we also know about Whitey Bulger, if we're going to start connecting it to the world today, is that Hank Brennan was Whitey Bulger's lawyer, going to the Karen Reed case. Sorry, I'm umming a lot, and I don't normally do that. I am more intelligent than that. It's me searching for my thoughts.
You're intelligent. Don't worry.
There's just a lot of very weird connections to things. Hank Brennan has made it known on the record that after the Whitey Bulger case, that he had a major hard-on for the feds. And we know that there's a parallel investigation with the Karen Reed case in the feds. And it's believed by some that that's the reason Hank Brennan took on the Karen Reed case, because we know that Hank Brennan is not a prosecutor. He's a defense attorney. And it's been said none of the district attorneys or attorney generals in Massachusetts would actually take on the case to prosecute it. Sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to go into Karen Reed. I know you don't like that case. I totally didn't intend to go there, but that's just what's fresh in my mind with the MK Ultra. And you brought up Whitey. But we can go back to, it's been said that the Manson was part of MK Ultra, and there's a Beatles connection to MK Ultra and a lot of celebrity connections to MK Ultra. If you really want, and it's been said that there's some Epstein possibly connections to MK Ultra and Diddy connections to MK Ultra. So I just find that whole thing very fascinating, and a lot of people will call you a crazy red hat conspiracy theorist, but it's not necessarily one side or the other. It goes way, way back to long before, Donald Trump and any of that. So
I can't believe there was a time before Donald Trump. I don't remember it anymore. It
There
must have been
was.
a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far.
There
I
was.
can't remember it anymore. Please,
There,
let me think about it. When the world was anything but orange.
Whitney Webb, who, from everything I can tell, is far from a right winger, and she has done, from what I've found, the most extensive research on a lot of these conspiracies and the history of MK Ultra and honeypotting and all of that. She wrote over 1,000 pages, and I'm still working through her books. I've seen a lot of her interviews, but if you wanted to go into that side of things, and the only reason I asked you is because of your field of work being in psychoanalyst and psychology, it is a big connection with crime. And a lot of people don't realize, they just see the political side of it, but there is very much a parallel to crime. And some people believe that even the Kohberger case may have some, and even the Delphi case may have some MK Ultra and mind control medication aspects to it. And I don't know about Brian Kohberger with MK Ultra. We don't know anything about his, medical history, but with Delphi and Richard Allen, and I honestly don't know where you stand on that case. We do know that he was given a lot of medications before his confessions were made. And some people believe that his confessions were false confessions.
I don't discuss Delphi because the world of Delphi people is one in which I do not want to step foot anymore. I have spoken about Delphi previously, but the reaction is like sticking your foot into a pool of alligators. Like, I just don't want to do it anymore. So
It's very vitriolic.
I step away from that particular pool. It's just, it has a way of bringing out very interesting characters. I don't know what it is about that particular case, but it's just, there's something about it. So I just stay away from it.
Well, it's a disturbing case altogether, no matter how you look at it, I think. And it's
right. I think that case, and I think that the Kohberger case, were basically committed by pathetic perverts. I mean, that's pretty much, where I stand on. But the question of who committed Delphi, that's an interesting one.
Right.
I have a lot of problems. I have always had serious problems with the conclusions that were drawn about that case. I've always been, well, I know I get it. I was very interested in a different suspect on that case. Regarding the Kohberger case, I mean, look, I think Occam's razor is, a valuable tool. And I just think, what seems more likely, that there's a intricate government cabal behind it, or there's some pathetic guy, who is obsessed with, getting himself a girlfriend in Kant and is watching violent pornography and decides that he's going to assault and possibly kill someone. And then, I mean, I just think that's more common. I don't discount anything you're saying. I can't,
Right.
It's important, not to be judgmental of other people's ideas. I have a tendency to be more interested in personal cause crimes than crimes that involve syndicates and organizations.
Right.
But it's interesting. For example, I'm very interested in serial killers that we're learning actually were involved in rings and groups like Dean Corll or John Wayne Gacy or people like that. So, I mean, it's interesting to think about groups and syndicates and things like that, or organized crime. I don't know as much as you do about this particular group. I mean, you're introducing me to something, and it's a doozy.
Right.
I mean, sitting here listening to it, it's like, it feels like watching the guy with the red yarn on the billboard, right? I mean, with the connecting.
Well, that's
all
how
the
my brain is. My brain is full of red
fascinating.
yarn.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to listen to, and but I don't believe in judging people for anything that they believe. I think it's very interesting, and Josh, I mean, you seem to know something about the subject, but I can't.
I just know that it basically came from the Cold War and the fear of the Soviets brainwashing, stuff like that, and that they tested it on basically the worst of the worst. It was a highly unethical.
Very.
It was very unethical what they were doing, and it was top secret at the time. And then when it came out, people were horrified by it. People are still horrified by it, and they denied it for so long. It was one of those conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. You know what I mean? And then they're like, well, can we trust that it's still not happening? And who knows exactly what the government does, behind closed doors. But it started in the 50s and 60s and allegedly went up until almost the mid 70s when it was shut down. But there's a lot of people, and it sounds like you're one of them, that don't believe that it was ever shut down.
It may have been temporarily shut down, but I think it's still alive and well, especially knowing what we know about Diddy and knowing what I know about Epstein. I mean, I've done a lot of research, a lot. I mean, I've spent years down both of those rabbit holes. And I personally know people involved in those circles. And I mean, without giving away sources and telling people's stories. Right. Yeah, I could talk
thank
about
you so
this
much.
for hours.
Okay,
So
well, it was a pleasure to talk to you. You gave me something to think about. Have a good day.
if you're ever at the Jersey Shore, I will go to lunch with you.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right, take care.
Bye. So Josh, let's maybe shy away from calls that take us into heated territory.
Sure.
I mean, maybe we should stick to Kohberger.
Yeah, that's what I was sort of thinking. That look, I'm not trying. I don't want to be rude to people and things like that. But I understand. But yeah,
but you agree. I mean, the question of
if you're calling in, let's talk.
Give me a break.
All right, Linda, where are you calling from, Linda?
I'm calling from Surprise, Arizona.
Surprise!
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 I talked to you on your last live show. I think it was also about Kohberger. And Josh, the lady who was on there earlier, who you hung up on, that was very appropriate. It's your show, and she was getting kind of vulgar there at the end. And it's your show. You have the right to cut off anybody that you want to.
Well, and I thought that we had kind of kicked it around long enough, and there wasn't a lot of give and take. It was hard. It was becoming very jumbled. I was having to mute. It wasn't me. I wasn't trying to be rude, but I typically know when we need to move on.
Yes.
When things are getting out of hand.
I
Dr. Gary's a big boy. I'm a big boy. We know how to handle. So I get it. I get people are very protective. It's happened with when I've had McDonough on before when we've done call-ins. People go, "You're gonna let that person ask," and Chris handles them fine. But obviously, whenever it needs to stop, I mean, I know when to do that. So
yeah, I know you do.
I think you'll notice that I always try to be respectful to everybody, and I really do. I know if I don't understand what somebody's saying or whatever, I always try to be very polite. And I want to be clear that I don't want to get into political things, but I don't think it's political to say Epstein was a pervert. That is not political. That is a fact.
Water's wet.
Right, water's wet, and Epstein's a pervert. And anyone who had anything to do with him, yeah, it's bad.
Exactly.
I mean, if we find out somebody was associated with him, please don't try to twist things into a pretzel to pretend they weren't. They were or they weren't. If they were, hold people to a standard. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for God's sake. So let that come out, and if it comes out, then you have to deal with it. You have to face reality. You know what I'm saying? I think anyone who has anything to do with that, it's gross. I mean, come on. I mean, it's the way it works. So but I don't think that's political. So I don't understand why people think it's political.
It's not.
It's not political. So moving along.
Okay.
So
well,
what would you
my
like? Please
question
say
is,
like to talk about something warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. Well, I wish this was warm and fuzzy, but it isn't. I read in some of the documents that I can't remember if it was Xana or Maddie. I think it was Xana who fought back, and she had 50 defense wounds on her arms. And but he also disfigured her face, and they think he used the butt of the knife to knock the front teeth out.
Two different people. So Kaylee had the latter injuries, and the former injuries you described were Xana.
Why would he go to that degree to want to disfigure her?
He was enraged because she interrupted his fantasy.
So do you think
wasn't supposed to be there?
Let me follow up with this,
She was probably yelling and making a commotion, and he wanted to quiet her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the only. Yeah, I haven't read all of it yet, and I wasn't sure.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous. I hate that whole story. I mean, the more I learn about those women and what they were like in life, and the more I learn about him, the more obvious it becomes. You know that.
Do you think that he was going in there to assault her?
I think he went in there to assault Maddie
sexually.
Yes, I think he was an imitation of Bundy. Was probably intending to bludgeon her in her sleep, possibly even take her out to that park or something like Bundy would do. But the idea being that he was probably going to assault her at the end, at the end of that knife, to kind of say like, "You're going to do this now." And instead, because his intel failed him, he gets in there and discovers that Kaylee's there, and then Xana's there, and as I said, if you watched the interview room, and if you watched me on Benny Politan, that extended discussion I did, I am increasingly suspicious that the reason the sheet fell off is probably because he was opening his belt. I think there was a sexual component, and it fell off. That he started trying to do something, and he got interrupted by Xana. And can't prove it, but I think she can't. My guess is, based on the evidence, that Xana interrupts and whatever it is he's doing, and then he goes after her, and he's enraged, because he loses control of the situation. But I mean, let's face it, the sheet falling off is interesting, and Banana Fresh, it's okay if you don't agree, but the evidence suggests it was a sexually motivated offense based on his pornography and everything else. But the fact is, we've eliminated any other motive. So, I mean, what's left?
Right.
Sexually motivated.
And just FYI, and you've probably seen this, Josh, in your chat tonight, there's someone that is saying that he was framed and that there are 3 other killers that were involved. So I don't know where that's coming from.
It's coming from a combination of, I don't know, Rod Serling and Alan Funt.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So, well, thank you so much for answering my questions. I'll let you get on to the next person.
Well, you're very kind, and thank you for your sort of, level setting kind of sweet call. I appreciated it.
Yeah, no problem. I watch you all the time, Josh, and I watch Chris too. So, and you, Dr. Gary, I love it when you're on the show. So thank you very much. You have a good evening.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. We get a couple more.
That was a very nice call.
Very nice.
Most of the calls are very nice. We just sometimes get some interesting.
I think True Crime Kangaroo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sure. Yeah, we can.
Oh, you can. Yeah, sorry. When I entered before, for some reason, you couldn't hear me. So, hi, Josh. Hi.
Where are you calling from exactly?
Australia.
No, but where in Australia?
Queensland. Sunshine
Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Australia.
Have you been?
No, I just know everything about it, but I never went. But I will go.
Cool. Yeah, great. So
I have very dear friends that live in Perth.
Right.
You go visit, yes.
Yeah, I haven't been to Perth, other side of the country, but nice. So thanks, Josh, and pleasure to meet you both. I've actually only recently discovered your channel, Josh, and
I can't hear her. Yeah. Sorry, one
You
moment. We're going to just elevate your volume. I want to make sure I
Okay.
hear you.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
there you go.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I've only just discovered your channel, Josh, and I love it. Thank you. And Dr. Brucato, I've only actually just discovered you a few weeks ago. And I've literally stalked all of your interviews over the last 2.5 years and longer on YouTube, which is how I found the lab.
Okay.
So I actually have a couple of questions, but I wanted to just firstly acknowledge your the way that Dr. Ricardo, you were able to literally almost perfectly profile BK before he was even arrested. So that was incredible and brilliant, and I'm so impressed. I bought your book this week.
Thank you. I hope it's not too disturbing.
Well, I'll let you know.
There are some Australian cases in there, actually, so you'll.
Oh, good. I've literally not started it yet, but I have bought it. So I'm excited to get into it. Conscious of everybody's time, and I know there's other callers, but I thought I would ask. I've got 2 questions that I'd love to ask you. Yesterday during the sentencing, I noticed that there were a couple of instances, I'm not sure if you picked up on it too, where Kohberger seemed to like nod a few times. It was really quite subtle, but it looked like he was nodding in agreement. But particularly when the victims were stating, how he had no empathy, and more so I noticed when, I can't remember who it was, when somebody said, that he needed to be locked away to keep society safe. Do you think that that was intentional or revealing in any way? Or do you think it was maybe just a tick? I honestly believe he was almost agreeing with them.
I hate to say it, but I think it's wishful thinking to think that it's like when a person's in a coma and you notice a little flick of the fingers or something and you go, oh, they're in there, they hear me. It's like we want to see that. But the reality is I think you were just seeing some little kind of thing. I think that probably he wasn't interested in virtually anything that was being said. I think that he was looking at it almost like from 30,000 feet, studying it. He was more interested in the like thinking about it almost the way a scientist would than actually experiencing it. I think if anything, while he was sitting there, as I said, I think he was sort of flickering through his mind images from what he did. And and I actually thought there were a couple times where it looked like he might have even wanted to kind of snap or make a little smirky, like a nasty comment or something, but he just kept his mouth shut. He probably had been told by an attorney or something, just keep your mouth shut because maybe we'll appeal eventually. But I just don't think he cared at all. I think that the idea that they were touching, something touched his heart. I thought it was really interesting when people were telling him they forgave him, because I don't think he could give a flying leap. I mean, he was probably sitting there thinking, I don't care if you forgive me. But I thought it was beautiful that some people, like for themselves, said, I forgive you, and that my ability to forgive you is more powerful than, the hatred that you bring. I thought that was really potent. I just wish I believed that he cared about anything that was said to him. I really
Yeah, I don't so much think that he was in agreement in a positive or like heartfelt way. I think it was more of a, I know what you're talking about, because it like almost enabling that I'm smarter than, I know this, I'm smarter than you, I know I'm a dangerous person.
yeah.
Rather than, I don't think
in
he
that
had.
sense, I suppose, the more you called him a monster and whatever, there might have been a little like, yeah, and I
Keep calling me that. That's right.
like enjoying it almost. But if that's
Correct.
what you mean, then yeah. But I don't think there was any touching of his heart. I mean, if you had asked me a few months ago, I would have said, oh, we're all sort of making him out to be a complete monster, but there's probably like a pathetic core in there or whatever. The more I've looked at this guy, the more I can't find like a redeeming thing. It's like when the judge said that he that there was a judge that he found impressive who always said, try to find one positive thing in a person, and that there was an offender where all that they could find that was positive about him was his handwriting.
Yes.
And the judge was like, I can't even find one. Like, I can't even, not even, I mean, you might as well have said, I don't even like your handwriting, because his handwriting sucks. It was interesting, but I cannot think at this point of a redeeming quality.
No, I would have to agree.
Just a person who felt entitled to take life the way that we might think about, swatting a mosquito. There's just absolutely no feeling at all. So I appreciate what you say. I think if anything, there would have been some enjoyment of the power and the control and all that, but not any remorse or guilt or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, but now, have you followed the case all along?
Yeah, I have ever since the day. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think, I mean, if you listen to our profile, I mean, there really were no surprises. I thought it was interesting that you said almost perfectly profiled. I was curious what you thought was wrong.
I actually can't remember. There was maybe one. The only thing
I went through it and couldn't find anything that any of us said that turned out to be untrue.
Well, the only thing I don't know, and I'm certainly not an expert like yourself, so is I've always second guessed his sexual motive. I don't know that he intended to sexually attack anybody. And
you don't have to
I'm
for it to
not
be sexual.
Yes, so I mean physically. I mean the actual
that's
act.
why I said when I did the profile, I said that there was an undertone. That there was
so just
when
having
you're
that
ego-driven, the ego-driven
arousal.
type, right? I said that
Yeah.
the ego-driven type, like Son of Sam or Ted Kaczynski, there can be an undertone of it, but that type tends to assert domination and control through things like intellectual superiority, sticking yourself into the press, manipulating the police, those kinds of types. And the idea is it's because of a sexual inadequacy. So that type of person will show the sexuality through pornography, which is very violent, the use of weaponry, so forth. I think the idea was to go in there and play out a fantasy, but whatever that sexual assault was does not necessarily involve what you and I might think of as sexual.
Yeah, not the
like touching, like remember, this is a guy who wanted to tickle a date.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Like what this guy, a sexual assault by a person with weird sexual ideas does not have to mean
traditional
sexual assault. So we don't really what's traditionally thought of. So we don't know what it, but there was an undertone of it, and his pornography and the idealization of Bundy and all that are sort of a dead giveaway. The fact that they were conspicuously attractive young women. I mean, I don't really know what makes it questionable that there was a sexual undertone. I mean, the guy had mountains of photos of like women clad only in bikinis.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a sexual undertone to it. It is, but the fact that that's questioned just says something about the lack of imagination that the public, and I don't mean you, but the lack of that the public can sometimes have, that sex can have a very wide arching kind of, inclusiveness in the mind of people. And fantasy can go all over the place. I mean, it's just the way that it is. And I think based on what we know about his porn choices, he had some pretty disturbing sexual fantasies. So I think that was the motive. Fantasy, probably psychosexually gratifying, even if it was just dominating, controlling, manipulating in other ways, gotten an arousal out of it. And that's what I think you saw. Excitement, that kind of autonomic, kind of stuff, the widening of the eyes and the breathing a little, I think he was getting a little excited. And I think he was picturing stuff. I really do.
Yeah, I watched you on the interview room during the sentencing, and it was interesting when somebody asked you what you thought was going through his mind, and you just said
I really think
literally like replaying the murders.
Yeah, replaying. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, and so let me just see something. I'm just reading the comment. Well, I appreciate very much your call, and I have such a fascination with Australia. I will get there. And
Yeah, great.
one day I'll go. So, but
We'd love to have you. Can I sneak
I
in
like to
another
say
quick
we as
question?
if you're going to be there when I get off the plane. You know, with a.
Well, I'm happy to come and collect you. I'll come to Perth to meet you.
Well, it's nice
Yeah, I
to
think
meet
you're
you.
fantastic. Can I ask another question or should I go?
You can ask.
Oh, you're amazing. Thanks so much, Josh. I appreciate it.
No problem.
The only other one, and I actually want to know that, I mean, we've heard quite a bit about Kohberger's teenage struggles or young adulthood struggles, you know, like heroin use and
Yeah.
his inability to, his socialize normally, if you like. But basically, I'm curious about what might have been going on when he was a smaller boy. So like when I watched him at sentencing, I couldn't help but see him sometimes as a little boy, right? I thought, oh my goodness, this monster was once a little boy, like a little innocent boy that, you know, like do you think there would be any kind of early childhood behaviors or experiences that like would give clues into how he became this, how he did this, you know?
We don't know much. We don't know much. I read online, but I think it's sort of unclear if it's accurate that some arrangement has been made for him to talk to an outlet, and that his parents are going to supply photos and stuff from his childhood. But I question this. I question the veracity, you know, until I see it reported in more than one place. I just don't know if it's yeah, I mean, I'm sure that story is going to unfold at some point. You know, these things don't just begin in a box, you know, like in a vacuum.
In a vacuum, yeah.
But we don't know much. I mean, if he really is autistic, we would have seen, you know, there would have been signs going all the way back. One thing I had suggested some podcasts ago that I think did get borne out was I suggested that he was probably going to turn out during his heroin days to have been a pretty adept burglar, that he probably was doing some break-ins and stuff.
Yes.
And I'm hearing now that there may be truth to that. There was some, you know, that he might have been robbing. But I got to confirm that. But the idea being that I think these types of offenders, one of the ways they begin to experience that arousal from being more powerful than others and smarter than others is the use of breaking and entering or burglarizing things. And we know things like that. He had a rubber glove with like somebody's IDs or more than one ID in it, and we don't know who they belong to. He had robbed his sister's phone. You know,
that's right.
Like,
yes.
I mean, there's and there's this question of like break-ins at the house, the murder house. So I think it's I think that probably that would have been the first step.
Yeah.
Whatever happened here. So, but and the experiencing power from that. So
yeah, that's right. Which is very like that's kind of standard, right? They start off like as peeping toms if they're
right.
You know, and then they kind of will break in and steal underwear, for example, you know, like those sorts of things. And just very quickly, I know I'm stealing so much time, but speaking of Perth and serial killers, I must ask if you're familiar with the Claremont serial killings, Bradley.
Oh yes, didn't we discuss them, Josh, at one point on the show?
Yeah, we did actually, because wasn't somebody babysat by them?
Was that true? Was that conversation?
I think it was. I don't know.
I thought that
maybe it was different. I don't know.
Claremont is not a solved matter.
No.
It is now.
Oh, I thought that the Claremont killing was the 18-year-old and the 23-year-old and the 27-year-old that were killed. Did they? And then there was a suspect, right? Brad Edwards. Did they find that guy guilty or what?
Yeah, he went to trial and he was found guilty.
When did that happen? It must have been in the past few years then.
2020.
Oh, interesting. So what happened? What did he get? What was his
what was his sentence?
Sentence, yeah.
Life in prison with the possibility of parole. I think maybe
15 years in Australia.
40 years.
40 life sentence.
Life sentence. No, sorry. So no, it is an actual life sentence with the possibility of parole after 40 years. But yeah, most life sentences in Australia are ridiculous. They're like
15 years,
years or something silly.
Well, they call it a life sentence.
Yeah, but he was sentenced to life, and it was a judge, like a bench trial. It wasn't a jury.
It's a really interesting story.
Really,
and I know there are
and
other
yeah.
cases that people think might be connected.
Yes,
Yeah, so it's a pretty fascinating case.
a
And
very fascinating case. Yeah, I mean, he got
yeah,
away for over 20 years, for 25 years, really.
I'm trying to remember though, what the cause of death was for the victims. Do you remember how they were killed?
Yeah. So I know that. I don't know if it was asphyxiation or if it was stabbings.
I don't know. I mean, was it definitely revealed? I don't remember. In fact, I'm looking in my own database here, and I have a question mark
Right.
next to the question of what. But I'm going to note that you're saying it's been solved officially. But because somehow I didn't have that in my database, but so I'm going to update it. But I don't.
Well, they only found 2 out of 3.
Sure.
So Sarah Spears has never actually been recovered. Her body's never been found, still to this day, which is like really, really sad. But yeah, so the other 2 were found. I know I'm certain they were both found without any clothing on. It was definitely, but yeah, he was also the kind of, it reminded me because of what you're saying about the break-ins and the people
So
in
it was
Tom
a sexual
100%
motivated, right?
Yeah.
And okay, and so they convicted him, and he's still, what is he, like, rotting in jail somewhere?
He's rotting in jail because, yeah, he was only convicted in 2020. It was I think it was one of the, if not the longest, one of the longest trials in Australia's history. It went on for months and months. It wasn't televised because we don't have that here. So yeah, I listened to coverage from a in-court journalist every night on a podcast and it was fascinating. It was really fascinating, but yeah, tragic. I mean, and yeah, he was hiding in the middle, in plain sight. He was a dad that I think he coached sports teams and
Right. Well, I have in my notes that there was an incident where in 1990 where he like dragged a woman,
yeah, at the cemetery,
like, to a toilet, and then it like stopped, and then he was basically put into some sort of treatment for that.
Oh, in the building at work, in a workplace?
Yeah, like Hollywood Hospital or something like that.
Yeah, that
Right,
sounds right. Yeah.
right. So
that woman
there's that
testified.
classic progression, but it's very, very interesting. And what I find most intriguing about that case is just the amount of time that he went on, or it's almost like BTK like all these years
Yeah,
going
decades.
unarrested and not committing more offenses, and so that's kind of interesting. But maybe we could one day we'll take a deeper dive into it. So well, thank you so much for calling. And
Thank you for having me, guys.
you're very welcome, but thank you. And I'm sure that the phone bill is going to be like $45,000, but I hope it was worth it.
Well, yeah, Wi-Fi, it's, but yeah, no, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to chat with you both. And yeah, thanks for all that you do. And obviously, Josh, you've got a new subscriber. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
You're welcome. I'm not really sure.
Maui girl, thank you for being a member for 5 months. Dr. Gary from the Black.
Maui girl, well, yeah.
Yeah.
She's from, yeah, right.
Yeah, she's a motto for the interview room. And
sorry, Kane, I talk too much. I apologize.
What?
I know that I do.
Wow, he loves to talk. What are we here for then, Kane? I mean, what do you want? What do you want us to do? Just sit here and what do you want? You want us to light sparklers or something?
Maybe they're not even talking about me. So, what can I tell you? I have motor mouth.
No,
So,
you're not. What the hell? What are you talking about? That's what we're here to do. No, if we're not talking, we're not doing anything.
so what is it? You want to do one more and then we'll end?
Wait, let's see here. But what are the thoughts on? Did you see the black heart on the table?
No, I don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, apparently he had.
He drew a black heart.
That's what it looked like.
Nice to see.
Early Bundy crimes.
You have a picture of it?
Probably. Let me see.
Get out of here. He wrote a black heart.
I think. I don't know. Let me just see here.
I gotta look. So, the case that the birthday caller was talking about really is very interesting.
Yeah. No, I'm.
Oh, I see what they're talking about. He drew that.
I don't know if he drew it or not.
It says Brian Kohberger has odd black drawing in front of him. I think we may be reading too much into something.
But it's still, I mean, if he did draw that, it's weird. I mean, he's just, everything about him is strange.
He only has one color pen. They wouldn't let him have a pen concealed under the table or something. There's one color pen there, and that's a multicolored drawing. It's a multichromatic drawing. It makes no sense. It's probably a printed thing.
Kane, how about you tell us about him since you knew him? All right. Let's see. Early Bundy crimes at University of Washington best reflects BK's
What does that comment mean, John?
I don't know. He wants us to talk about what he wants.
Tell me about John Gacy since I knew him. All right. He was a disgusting child murdering pervert who buried boys under his house and elsewhere, and then ultimately started throwing them off a bridge. End of story.
Talking about
Next.
Some adjustment.
I hope he was a nice guy.
I'm sure he was. And Jennifer, I just got here. Olivia's victim statement was so empowering. I love how Josh and Dr. G support the victims. Thank you. It's helped me, so I know it's helped others. Thank you, Jennifer. It's so good to see you. And we have one more caller. Kelsey, you were asking if we're taking any more, but I saw that it was Lori Lowe that possibly was
somebody named Lori called us before.
Well, if it's her, I would be fine taking her call before, because we only have one call left. But
I think I remember Lori being very nice. Yeah. Oh, and Kane said, "I will. Nice guy, funny as hell, and he was a serial killer that shocked us all." I bet it was shocking. He led a double life.
Great guy. Awesome.
I think that's interesting if you really knew him. That's kind of cool, to get that kind of information. So, all right.
All right. One more. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna let Lori call in, and then
Gacy liked to talk too. Gacy was a yapper.
Just like Dr. Gary. I'm just kidding.
That's true. I could have.
I'm a talker too.
What?
I'm a talker too, but people tell me to shut up when you're here. All right. Elizabeth.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Where are you calling from?
I'm actually calling from Perth, Australia. I'm from
That's funny. We were just talking about you.
I'm from Estonia, but I'm calling from Perth, Australia. I know everything about the Claremont serial killer. You need to know.
Fascinating. That's wonderful. Did you know any of the victims?
Not that I know of. He picked them up in his Commodore vehicle.
Very interesting.
His car. Sorry, my English isn't fluent.
No, that's okay. But of all places to be from Perth, is it true that Perth has black swans?
Yes.
Oh, that's my strange little factoid. I want you to know that as a kid, I won a trivia contest by knowing the word for male and female swan. You will have to look it up. But I was very proud of myself. I want a prize for that. Now, why are you laughing, Josh?
Lame.
Why? I did. I knew things like that as a
I
kid.
know, that's what's funny about it.
Hey, listen. What do you want me to know about hockey?
What a contest! What kind of a contest is that?
It was a trivia contest at school.
Oh
I
God!
beat everybody. Nobody messes with me at trivia. And then just for fun, I used to give smart ass answers to the trivia questions because I was sick and tired of answering the questions. So I started giving.
That's awesome.
I used to say funny things, just to,
You're the best.
like, what's the only man-made structure visible from space? Eva Gabor's
Empire State Building, right?
Huh?
Is it the Empire State Building?
Well, it's the Great Wall of China, but I used to give funny answers. I thought it was hilarious. But anyway, so
I
yes,
honestly
correct. The male
didn't
swan is
know
called a
enough.
cob. Correct. See if you can think of what the female is called. All right, moving along with our swan song.
Yes.
So what's the reason that you phoned us? I'm sure it wasn't to talk about waterfowl.
No. My question was about the
things are not pertinent to the conversation. Okay.
My question is about the knife cover.
Oh, the sheep. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that one. Sorry. Yes. Do you think it was purposeful? He left it behind, or he could have just? I know this sounds horrible, but he could have just lifted up the body and get it out.
No, I think he left the sheep because he was an idiot.
Oh.
I mean, I think the fantasy that he was some kind of mastermind that left it intentionally is incredible. I mean, if he was a mastermind, believe me, he would have done a lot of things differently. No, he literally got interrupted in the middle of what he was doing and it fell. That's it. There's nothing else to it. You could sit around and have a very long conversation about the stupidest thing that he did. And there are a lot of that. I think the stupidest thing is the alibi. But
that's what I was going to say.
The dumb. It is the stupidest alibi on earth. You know what I'm saying? It's like the dog ate my homework. Stupid.
It's bad.
And for a supposed genius, I mean, oh my God. And Josh, how many stupid things did he do? At least 15 I could name.
I mean, buying the knives on Amazon was pretty dumb.
Thinking that his phone wasn't going to get picked up.
Thinking his
Getting
phone
caught on camera. That was
on camera, speeding out of there, knowing that there was going to be, video cameras that picked it up.
How about that he left two victims, two witnesses?
Yeah, and I think
one that saw him.
I think,
which I thank God he did.
I personally think that when that happened, when he was being confronted by the survivors, or in court, I'm sure that something going through his mind is like, I left witnesses, because he would have killed anybody that he saw.
What about going back to the crime scene? What about trying to repurchase
what about taking a thumbs up photo the next day? And by the way, in retrospect, how creepy is that now?
It's all creepy. It's Bundy style.
That he when I looked at that and I said, well, from everything, and after hearing, how many times people were stabbed, the victims were stabbed, Kaylee and
right, breaking the face when he does thumbs
up. I mean, he must have been exhausted, and then the next day he must have been sore, but he was so proud.
That he said was from a car accident.
He was so proud of himself, and
disgusting.
He's a piece of
pretty bad. So I'm just saying, it's important not to try to suggest that he was some sort of master criminal, because then you'd have to take it to its logical end. What would be the purpose of leaving the sheath with your own DNA on it?
Right.
Just think about it. And then you're stargazing, and the genius then has to explain how the sheath with the 1 in 27 octillion chance of belonging to anybody other than a first-degree relative of the killer is
He's
in
a
the
moron.
house while you're in the park. Like, did it get brought in by UPS? Like, it doesn't make any sense. A drone dropped it in the room. I mean, it's stupid. So
He's a
so I think it's better to just assume he was dumb.
He is. He's dumb.
Dumb.
He is dumb.
How else to put it? Dumb. Yeah. So
He is dumb.
that's it. Now we can say that out loud, and I'm delighted because I don't want him. Especially because I think sometimes he sees these things. I don't want him thinking that anybody with expertise thinks he's interesting, and he isn't.
He's not.
No,
He's
but
not.
what's interesting, and I was just having this conversation with somebody, is that all of those, and to me, they're kids, because I have kids their age, and I know that they're young adults, and I get it. They were just starting out their lives, and I remember being that age, and I remember feeling so full of life, and the fact of the matter is that these were all college kids who were bright.
Yes.
Ethan was a strapping young man, very handsome.
Very.
The girls very pretty, and they had a good core of friends, and it was just wiped out
These
in one
we
night.
need to
Yeah.
not him.
Who? Oh, he was the antithesis of all of that. It's completely. That's what he probably wanted. He wasn't even in their age range, really. I mean, for college, no.
How old was he?
It's like 28, wasn't he? At the time.
I'm 48, so I'm old.
I don't think you're old. If you're old, then I'm old, and I don't feel that old.
Thank you.
I don't think we're old. We're
like
in the prime of our lives. I mean, I look like Methuselah, but I'm in the.
No, you don't. You look amazing, Gary. You look
kind of like Mum-Ra. Remember Mum-Ra from kind of Mum-Ra-esque. You breathe on me and I'll crumble. I'm up there.
Methuselah.
Methuselah. Remember Methuselah? Anyway, but
Yeah, I remember.
When I was a kid, there wasn't even a history class. No, I'm not that old, but I am getting ready for that age when I get to make jokes like that. I'm looking forward to being very old. I want to be that guy that sits on the porch, and barks at people that walks by, get your ball off my lawn.
Yeah, you're well on your way, no question about it.
I'm on my way, exactly. Don't you want to be like that, Josh?
No.
Which kind of old person are you going to be? You're going to be the kind that sits on the subway with the surgical mask and talks about politics?
No. I don't know. I have no idea what kind of old person I'm going to be.
What kind of older person are you going to be? Come on.
Similar to what I am now, crotchety.
May I add just one quick thing about the Claremont?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. How the two girls, Jane Rimmer and why am I forgetting her name? I've got a bad memory. Sorry, pain induced. Tara Glennon. Sorry. Yes, one of them had their breast cut off.
Yes.
And stabbed and slashed. The other one was stabbed and slashed, and she had defensive wounds on the hands.
Right.
She was grabbing a knife.
Yeah, it was pretty clearly, sexual homicide, and the mutilation of those areas of the body, very typical of sexual sadism, and usually people who do that are serial offenders who do it over and over and over and over, until they're stopped.
I honestly,
horrendous.
There is more than 3. He can't have just stopped at those 3 and just moved on. I think
it's more likely that they don't stop. It's sort of like when BTK is some kind of weird exception. If he really stopped, and it looks like he did, but they can't link him to any other, but with most of these guys, they don't really stop. They just change their MO, or they
Yeah, they take like a little cooling off periods.
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
like that. But
but that guy, it's hard to believe there was only that many. So, and it looked like people in the audience were asking about what an average IQ is, and that using the WAIS, the Wechsler IQ, because there are other IQ tests like Stanford Binet and stuff like that. Using the WAIS, that would be 100, would be like right in the center, so that you wind up with these sort of ranges, of average, below average, above average, and when you start getting into the very superior range, and you're in your 130s and your 140s and so forth, then you start seeing people that you would commonly describe as being extremely intelligent, so forth.
I have no idea what one.
But what'd you say?
I have no idea what my IQ is. No idea.
It's a
Never
funny thing, one of the things I love about very intelligent people is they often do things where there's just absolutely no common sense whatsoever. And I just think that's funny. The person who could rattle off facts about quantum mechanics, but can't tie their shoes. That's like something very interesting about that. Because I think what happens is that when you're very intelligent, your focus is so kind of on this internal stuff, that you're just not in the world. You're walking into walls and tripping over yourself. I think that's just the way it is. I remember once I was taking a walk with my dissertation mentor who was just like that, and I walked right into somebody, like just literally, like just walked right in, and I was so embarrassed. And my professor said to me, "That's a characteristic of smart people, that they're so in here that they do things like that." He said, "Don't worry, I know the trait." And of course, just because he did it all the time. So I always thought of it as like a weird compliment to be like so kind of in your own head that you. And sometimes I'm like reading a book while I walk, so that happens to. So, but I've walked into many a thing. Josh, do you do that? Do you like walk into things because you're thinking too much?
No.
Like trip over yourself? I just miss things, right? There could be like an explosion in front of me and I'd miss it. I swear.
Nobody's gonna accuse me of thinking too much.
I don't think that's true. You're a thinker.
Usually when I'm sitting down, like if I'm on my way to the fridge, Dr. Gary, I'm not thinking about a purpose-filled life. Yeah, I'm thinking about pickle spears or yogurt.
Here's a phenomenon I think about. We need a name for the phenomenon where you get up in the middle of the night and you have a weird sort of desire to eat something. So you open the refrigerator, you look into it, there's nothing interesting. You close the door, you go to the bathroom, and then you go back to the refrigerator and open it and think there's going to be something different in it.
Yeah, that's called
I do that.
That needs a name. That phenomenon? And you look again, like there's something different's going to be in there. Like, are you kidding me? That some people, that's their dating habits. But we need a name. What I mean? You go back to the person and think there's going to be something different in them.
Well,
we need a name for that phenomenon.
Well, Ollie says optimism.
Maybe optimism.
I have legitimately stared into a refrigerator in my socks and underwear in the middle of the night when there was a quarter gallon of milk, some hot sauce packets, and I think there was some unfrozen thawed waffles in there, hoping that I could come up with something. Never did, and it took a good 45 minutes to figure that out.
There is.
Yes,
we got to give that phenomenon a name. I want to make a book of terms that I've coined for things that it annoys me don't have names. I want to call it the fictionary.
I like to call it the Secretarianism. because I'm a very deep thinker like Socrates. I'm just a big fan of Greek philosophy. Of course, Plato and all the rest, Diogenes. I'm very big fan of that, and I know it sounds weird, but
Think of
I'm
it.
a deep thinker.
I was only wearing one sock because my left foot felt really
Great.
cold on the floor.
Not socks, Socrates.
No, I was just
You're making a play on the name of Socrates.
no, I'm not. I was honestly just remembering that I was only wearing one sock when I was staring at the refrigerator because one foot felt nice and the other was a little chilly.
Oh.
I love it. I think that this was a lot of fun. We needed it to have a laugh. I appreciated it.
We have one more call.
And
And
we have
Elizabeth,
another call.
thank
Who is
you
it?
so much.
Well, thank you so much, and I'll get. I do want to get to Perth one day. So
Yes. I will show you around the swans.
they are pretty cool.
And
All right.
cookie Sonian food.
They're terrifying, but they're kind of cool. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
Dr.
Stay
Gray,
strong.
my
What?
grandpa, I've told this on After Dark before, but one time we had a Dalmatian dog and his name was Smudge because his spots were smudged. And he ate one of my grandpa's socks, like swallowed it whole. And my grandpa knew that he had done it. So he stalked the dog. The dog passed it whole and they put it in the wash machine and then dried it and then paired his sock back up. Lori, go ahead. You're on the air. How are you?
Hi guys. Thank you so much for taking me at the last minute.
No problem.
But Dr. Brucato, you wanted a warm and fuzzy story regarding and because of all this with this whole week with all these trials, it was horrible.
The sock that passed through a dog.
Yeah, I know. I'm laughing at Josh's sock too.
That was warm and fuzzy, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. A little stinky too.
A little crispy, but it was warm.
Yeah, Josh. The worn out waffles in the refrigerator wasn't the thing that was stinking.
All right, we've descended into a kind of madness, but okay. So,
somebody moved them from the freezer. And there was only
no, it was the sockless foot that was stinking, Josh.
No, but what I'm saying is that one move, somebody didn't put them back in the freezer. They put them in the fridge and they thawed.
I know.
Well, I was just sitting there looking at them.
All right. The sock it to me. What did you call it?
All right, let me tell you. No, for real. This is about. I don't know what you guys think about like signs, and this is totally off topic than what you guys were talking about all night. That's why I waited for the end. But okay, afterlife.
I just got it. Sock it to me. Sock to me. Okay, okay.
Okay, like afterlife. I don't know what you guys or what the chat believes in signs from the afterlife, but the owl brought it up and made me think about it. I'm a true faithful Catholic, and I know like I'll probably end up in hell because I always believe in these type of things. But in any case, I'll probably see a lot of my family there anyway, so it's all right. But and anyway, so I always like see signs and I always get signs and I don't talk about it too much because people think you're crazy. Well, anyway, I come down from New York and like, if you guys remember, I just lost my husband. I lost my mother, my house.
You spoke just before, I remember.
Right. So I come down. Yes. Thank you for remembering. So I come down and I meet this man that I'm with now for these years, and he had just lost his mother, and I was like, oh man, I mean, like I'm always in these places at these times, and I'm like, okay, God's putting me here. So we do for years, we do like all these like talks and therapies, and I'm like, your mom is here, you just got to be silent and you got to pray, and then you're going to see an answer or you're going to see a sign and you got to just believe it and so forth. So we're going on and on. on, and I just drop seeds, and I hope that he waters them on his own. I don't push him. So one day we go, I'm a really good negotiator when it comes to anything. I should have been a lawyer. I really should have been. But anyway, he wants this truck. And the one particular truck, I look it up, it's in Miami. So I go to the dealer with him and I said, this going to be the best, shortest deal you ever made. I said, all you have to do is bring this truck from Miami and we'll buy it. I said, I already know what it is. I did all the stuff. So the guy says, well, give me 1,000. I said, no, I'll give you 500 since you're driving it up and you put mileage on it. I'll give you 500, bring it up here, and I promise you it'll be the quickest. So the guy does, he brings it up. So while he's trying to bring it up, from like it's going to take a day or two, he's like, well, I got this red one that's exactly like it. I said, no, we want white and it's in Miami. No, well, we got this black one over here. I said, no, what color? Are you colorblind? We want white. It's down there. We live in Florida now. We don't want these colors. We want white. So anyway, all day. The next day comes, he calls me up. He's like, Lori, come down. We got your truck here. So I said, okay. So now we go down. And so you got the first day of negotiating was about 5 hours in the stupid store, in the car dealer. The next day comes, we go down there. Now he's trying to sell me all this stuff. And I said, listen, he drives for a living. He's in the truck all the time. You're taking his Dodge. I want bumper to bumper warranty on this. He said, I can't give you bumper to bumper. I go, yeah, you can. You could do anything you want. I said, you could give me bumper to bumper or else we're not signing the deal. So he's looking at me and I said, Andrew, I'll be right back. I'm going into the bathroom. Don't sign anything unless you got bumper to bumper. You got 5. He drives trucks and they're like 500,000 miles on these Dodge trucks. And he turns them in and gets like $5,000 towards the next car. So I said, well, if your truck is so fantastic as the one we're turning in, you won't have a problem with bumper to bumper and this and that. So anyway, long story short, we get the bumper to bumper. So now it's it's like 6 o'clock at night. No, I'm sorry. It was the winter time. So it was like about 7 o'clock and it was already getting dark here. So now we're walking out and he looks at me and he's got the keys in the car and he's like, babe, I cannot believe that not only did you get money off the truck for me, but he goes, nobody gets bumper to bumper. I said, stick with me, you'll go places. Just get in your truck and let's go.
He passed away, right?
No, that was my husband that passed away. This is like now that I came down to Florida, I would know this.
Okay, I was getting confused.
So, yeah. So now I'm here. Well, I got him caused too, but that's beside the point. But anyway, so now we're here. Now we're walking out. There's no trees. There's palm trees here. There's no like oak trees. There's nothing. There's nothing in the parking lot. And I hear this owl in the background and it's like doing its hoo 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 hoo, and I'm like, and I don't think anything of it. He doesn't think anything of it. Right? Wait, this is really good. It's unbelievable. We get home for some unknown reason. I have no reason to say why I did this. I go into, I had to empty out his mom's house. He found her in there and he couldn't even go in there. And he lost the house and it was like a year old. I was like, oh my God. So I had to empty out that house and bring everything in here. So anyway, now I go in her bookshelf. For some reason, I don't know why, I had no intentions on sitting down and reading a book after all these hours in a car dealer, right? I needed a drink, let alone that. So anyway, I go to this bookshelf and I open up one of her books and this bookmark falls out. And I look at it on the floor and it's like an embroidered owl. So I go up to Andrew and I said, Andrew, check this out. I said, I opened up your mother's book. I don't know why. He goes, oh, that's my mother's. She loves owls. She always loved owls. She made that. And I look at him and I said, Andrew, your mother, she was with us when you were getting the truck. I said, where was that damn owl? There was no trees. Don't you remember the owl? Like, who?
Right. In other words, you're in a place with palm trees and you don't expect to encounter
an owl. In I mean, like, what does an owl do?
I'm sorry. There's just something about how you tell a story that makes me laugh because it reminds me of all the people I grew up with. And there's something about you just have a way of telling stories. It's very colorful and it makes me laugh. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. I've
And
heard that
so
before.
much detail and it's funny. You know,
Well,
it's
I
like
know
the
why
joke,
you're laughing.
it's like
But
the joke that's 20 minutes long. And then
I know, I didn't mean to. I'm showing. I'm trying to. I'm Italian. I'm trying to give you the Reader's
That's why
Digest.
it's funny. It feels familiar to me. I know
I'm
it.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I feel the way I feel about you. You're like a touch of home.
I love it. You know what it is? I mean, I come from people who tell a story like that, you know? Like, I love it. Like, it'll be like, I took the train. The guy was wearing a hat. No, it was a beret.
No, and I want you to know I gave you only the details. I'm getting better because
Funny.
nobody.
It's funny. He
But
had
my-
4 buttons on his shirt. No, 3.
No, one was unbuttoned.
It's just, I think it's hilarious how you tell a
He
story.
was from
But-
Essex County. Oh,
and I love the accent. It's great. But this is the thing. You have a fantastic voice. The way you tell a story is great. And I think
he took the Lincoln Tunnel.
and I love all the excessive. It's great. And
Oh,
it's very visual and the whole thing. And I love that the punchline is an owl on the book.
Come
There's
on.
an owl on the bookmark, and you don't expect an owl on the bookmark when you only have palm trees, and there shouldn't be owls in the trees.
I'm like, yeah.
I love
Well,
it.
Doc,
Oh my
listen,
God.
I am not kidding you.
That got me.
There is owls now everywhere we go. Everywhere we go, there's an owl. And you know what?
What a hoot.
He went from crying and being miserable. Stop laughing now. He went from crying and being miserable, missing his mother, to turning around to me now and saying, my mother's here, isn't she? And I go, yeah, if you believe that and it makes you feel good, absolutely. I go, what is this owl doing here? We're in Florida. One of these owls. We moved. Okay. I just moved to Sarasota. Oh, well, now I'm going to get stalked. Well, anyway,
we're in Florida. Oh,
I know. Don't even ask. But anyway, I needed warm weather. So now I'm here and I'm in the pool area where I'm sitting right now. And it's like the sun's ready to come up. What do I hear? A freaking owl. I'm like, I can't. I'm surrounded by palm trees. Where is this house? So I called. I said, Andrew, come out. He goes, what? I go, look, your mother found us. So now it's like a run-on joke about the owls. But that's like, you know, that's a warm, fuzzy story for you. And it wasn't about like Brian, like, killing kids. You know what I mean? Like, it's a warm, fuzzy, and it's true that there is, if you quiet yourself, you will hear the signs, you will see the signs, they're never gone from you. How do you feel about that?
I feel great.
I don't know what just happened, but I feel almost like I don't know. Throttled.
Rick.
Well, if nothing else, I left you laughing. Go to bed.
Verbally throttled. I think that it's like a deliciously funny way of telling the story. But if you just distill it down, what you're saying is that you had an experience that made someone you care about feel that someone they love is present.
Yeah, but I had to tell you. If I told you like that, everybody would have left.
The way you told the story is hysterical. I don't know how to explain. There's something about the way I just love it. And I come from where are you from originally? Exactly.
Right, I told you, right by downstairs from your elevator.
Your mother's house.
No, seriously.
No, I started in Manhattan, and as the neighborhoods got bad, my mother moved us out, and we went from Brooklyn to the Bronx. Then we went, and I ended up in Long Beach in New York, in Long Island for years and years.
So so you know all the Brooklyn expressions.
I know everything. Yeah, New York thing. Yeah,
like the expressions like "I need you," like "I need a hole in the head."
Yeah.
You
We're
know,
gonna go young.
like the
lot.
refrigerator story my mother we used to do. As soon as we walked into the house, we used to open up the refrigerator. As soon as we walked in, open it up, slam it, say there's never anything to eat in here, go to the bathroom, come back out, open up the refrigerator, and
Right.
look at it again. And my mother used to go, "Did you think something grew?"
That sounds. See, this is very comforting to me because you're speaking as if, you know, in a language familiar to me. I know exactly the kind of
I
people.
was looking for some gabagool.
It's not that. It's the intonations and the way that, you know, like I always say, you know, if you had to teach people to speak Brooklynese or Bronxese or something, it's not enough to just do the goofy accent. It's also the structure of the phrase. For example, let's say I don't know, the waiter accidentally brought you 2 glasses of water. You would say, "I got 2 cups of water. I got."
No,
That structuring of saying the thing, that's very funny. That
I would say, you know what I'd say? I'd say,
Right.
"I'm glad that you brought me 2 glasses of water, but now can I have the 7-Up that I asked for?"
Oh, that's another story. But that thing is, I got 2 cups of water. I got, and also the sing song quality of it. You know, $2.50 for a freaking hot dog. Get out of here. You know,
This thing better.
I get a
I
kick
gotta
out of it.
take the Long Island Expressway home, partner.
Wait,
Don't
my
talk
mother
about the Long
used-
Island Espresso because
we had our own. Me and my mom had our own language, and I used to think it was just us. But now that I'm getting older, I'm realizing it's ours. But she used to say to me, "Oh, not to me. I had a pork in Jabeesh."
to me. Yeah.
Yeah, she used to go, "I had a pork all the way in Jabeesh," or "I had a pork all the way in Canarsie." And I'd say, "Really?" And that just meant it was far. So when I moved to Brooklyn by myself one day, I was driving home and I see the sign Canarsie. And I never knew there was a Canarsie. And I thought it was just my mother's language. And I called her up. I go, "Ma, do you know that there's a real Canarsie?"
Of course.
She goes,
That's
"Of
funny.
course I did, you idiot."
Well, I just think that you're a very colorful character and that there is something very sweet and familiar
Aw,
about the
thank
way
you.
you talk that reminds me of the people I
The rain in
my whole life,
Spain
and I
felt
just get a
mostly
kick out of
on
it.
the plane.
Josh, I'm gonna punch you in the head, Josh.
And you have a wonderful
The
infectiously, like
at
you're
the
the kind of
window.
person that gets you in trouble in a theater, you know, because you crack
Oh
a
God,
joke and
all the
everybody's
time.
laughing, you know, those kind of people.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that kind of a character, and I think that's one. I always try to see something good in everybody, and
Oh well, thank you.
that's a real gift, you know, to be funny like that, infectiously funny. That
All
kind
my
of Jackie
friends tell me
Gleason
that.
from the belly funny is
That's so
very
funny.
rare, and you know, you just keep doing that because I think it's hysterical. I love it.
I think it's called, truthfully, what I think I did my whole life. I think it's comic relief. I think like
You're
think
funny.
I think that for every like tragic like thing that would bring somebody down to be like a drug addict or an alcoholic or something, I turned it around instead of doing that, and I made jokes and laughter about it, and that's how I get. I want you to know, I have no eyes right now. I just had surgery in both of my eyes today. This is me under anesthesia.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I hope you feel better.
Thank you. I'm good. I wanted to make it
Thank you,
fuzzy and warm
You
with you.
did intend to call the lab, right? I mean, you didn't like, you know, misdial because you couldn't see
Oh, I
it.
opened the line just for her.
Yeah. And thank God he made me click on it, because if I had to see the numbers I can't see, I would have never been able to make it in.
1-800 Provolone.
You know, Josh, and take your hat off. You got such great hair.
Thank
Take
you.
your hat off.
There you go.
All right. Have a good night, guys. God bless. And thank you, Kelsey, for
Well,
helping me.
Josh and I are going to follow the breadcrumbs back out of the story you told. So it's going to take us a couple of days to get out of there. You know, that story, because that story you told, it was so. Is she still there?
No,
Still there. She is hysterical.
she's great.
You find her great?
Of course.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. I love those kind of calls. Oh,
we don't talk like that. Okay.
yeah, you do. Okay. I got we got to go. We're done.
I mean, how much later you want to go?
No, I'm done. We're done. I got to take the dog out. Odie hasn't been feeling that good.
Isn't it 1 o'clock in the morning there?
Yeah, but he's not feeling very well.
This was the most deranged
Yeah.
few hours I have had in a long time. I feel almost like I'm coming down from, I don't know, like I feel like I've been hit in the head with a bat a couple times. What
happens when you don't listen?
We listened.
Oh.
We listened. Just that we had some real, doozies.
It was great.
I think it was great, but there was some interesting calls.
Big time. Awesome.
All right. Well, on that note,
I'll talk to you in a bit.
Go back to planet Earth.
All right. Dr. Gary, thank you so much.
All right.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Somebody said it's been different.
Oh.
Take care.
Oh, man, that was fun. I thought it was great, man. Oh. Shake it up. Shake it up, folks. We had a good time. Oh, beautiful messy ball. I will ask Dr. Gary that. I forgot to ask him. I'm very sorry. Jellycat, Dr. Gary, if you're still there, said, I got your book as a present on Christmas morning. Oh, I remember you saying it may not be a gift on Christmas morning. Love the book. She loves it. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Chat. That was fun. I enjoyed it. I always do. You guys make it fun, and thank you for the calls and the comments and the likes. Thank you for the super chats and stickers. And we didn't have to beg anybody relentlessly to do anything. I'm going to shut the stream down if I don't. I'm going to shut the stream down if you don't donate. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Love you guys. I'm out of here. Oh.